After the divorce, I inherited the assets in the game. Bankruptcy, divorce, and wife's betrayal. 35-year-old Yang Hao suffered a triple blow. However, in the desperate situation, he inherited the property in the game, Monopoly. From then on, he became successful. Ex-wife begged for reconciliation. Chapter 1. The Monopoly game system. Outside the Civil Affairs Bureau in Jianghan District, Yang Hao put the divorce certificate he had just received into his jacket pocket, then took out his phone, opened the Kangaroo food delivery app, and clicked online. Because of the divorce, he hadn't taken a single order since this morning. You've been delivering food for so long, but it's not a sustainable career. You should find a stable job. Besides, she is getting older. If she has a dad who delivers food, she'll feel embarrassed. Li Manchu stood on the stairs, wearing high-heeled shoes and tight-fitting jeans, with a khaki-colored Gaudia trench coat open and a white knitted sweater underneath. Her figure was graceful, and she didn't look like a woman who had given birth. At this moment, she stood above the steps while Yang Hao stood below, looking up at her. This was just like how things were before they ended their marriage. I don't steal, I don't rob, I make money with my own hands. There's nothing to be ashamed of. She will understand me. Yang Hao replied lightly. As for the woman who had lived with him for 6 years and given him a lovely daughter, he couldn't say he hated her that much. He just felt like he had been blind and had picked the wrong person. It was Li Manchu who had pursued him at the beginning. 6 years ago, 29-year-old Yang Hao owned 2 hotpot restaurants with a total area of 200 square meters. The business was booming, and he made 60,000 to 70,000 yuan a year, living a comfortable life. It was also that year that he met Li Manchu, who had come to work part-time at one of his restaurants. She was young, beautiful, and 7 years younger than him, and she took the initiative to pursue him. Yang Hao, who had reached the age for marriage, quickly developed feelings for this hardworking, sensible, and gentle woman. They quickly became a couple, and Li Manchu went from part-time waitress to the boss of the 2 hotpot restaurants. Not long after they married, Li Manchu got pregnant and gave birth to a daughter the following year. At 30, Yang Hao felt like he was the ultimate winner in life, successful in his career, with a beautiful wife and a newly born little princess. To give his wife and daughter a better life, he began to expand the hotpot restaurant business. After a period of research, he decided to open 3 new locations, bringing the total number of his hotpot restaurants to 5. He became the owner of 5 restaurants and dreamed of opening more locations nationwide, turning his brand into a famous hotpot chain like Hey Dilyu. However, a sudden disaster changed everything. At first, Yang Hao didn't think much of it. He thought it would pass quickly, and he even felt happy about being able to stay home and spend time with his wife and daughter. But this disaster turned out to be much worse than he imagined. He gritted his teeth and survived the first and second years, only to collapse in the third year. All 5 hotpot restaurants went out of business, his savings were depleted, and he still owed the bank a loan. Then, he discovered that his once gentle and virtuous wife had changed. She became sharp-tongued, mercenary, and no longer showed him the love and respect she once had. Sometimes, she would even mock him with sarcastic remarks. In order to survive, Yang Hao started looking for a job. However, with his ordinary bachelor's degree, in a time when the value of a degree had depreciated, it was hard for a young graduate to find a job, let alone a 35-year-old man like him. Many job openings had age limits of 35, so he couldn't even get past the age requirement. In order to make money, he had to start delivering food. Meanwhile, his wife, who had married and had a child, found a good job. As a result, their family dynamics had changed drastically. A month ago, Li Manchu unexpectedly filed for divorce. Yesterday, after the 1-month cooling-off period ended, she couldn't wait to call Yang Hao to pick up the divorce certificate. She perfectly exemplified the saying, when disaster strikes, each person goes their separate ways. All Yang Hao could say was that it was easy to share wealth, but difficult to share hardship. When you have a wealthy material life, 90% or even 99% of women can live well with you. But once material conditions become scarce, that percentage drops dramatically. There are certainly women who are willing to share the hardship with their men, but unfortunately, Li Manchu wasn't one of them. Ding! The Monopoly game system has been successfully installed. Host, Yang Hao. Age, 35. Height, 182 centimeters. Weight, 192 pounds. Wealth, 215,000. Health, 68. Intelligence, 78. Strength, 65. Skills, none. Main task progress, 0%. Ding! You have a new task. As a wealthy man, you should have a healthy body. The system has detected that their hostess weight is excessive and there are potential health risks. Task: lose weight. Task reward: their host will receive 100,000 yuan for every pound lost. If their host's weight drops to 150 pounds, the main task progress will increase by 1%. This. Suddenly, a prompt sounded in Yang Hao's mind, startling him. The Monopoly game. Is this the same one I often play? Yang Hao quickly checked his phone, only to find that the game had disappeared from his phone. If you weren't Shishi's father, I wouldn't waste another word on you. Let me give you one last piece of advice: get a decent job for Shishi's sake. Beep. 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 At that moment, a black BMW parked on the side of the road started honking repeatedly. The window of the driver's side rolled down, and a man wearing gold-rimmed glasses waved to Li Manchu. Do what you want. Li Manchu didn't stay any longer. She threw one last sentence and walked toward the BMW 5 Series. Ding! You have received a new order. At the same time, the familiar kangaroo food delivery notification sound came from Yang Hao's phone. He subconsciously glanced at the order details. The pickup location was a cake shop about a kilometer away, and the delivery address was less than 2 kilometers from there, a relatively good order. Yang Hao wasn't sure whether the Monopoly game system was real, but life still had to go on. He took a deep breath and got on the electric scooter next to him. Bro, don't worry. I'll take good care of Manchu. The man with the gold-rimmed glasses leaned his head out of the car, speaking smugly. Heh. Phut. Yang Hao couldn't be bothered to talk to someone like him. As the electric scooter started, he spat directly at the man. The distance was close, and Yang Hao's 1982 vintage spit landed directly on the man's nose. The phlegm slid down and slowly flowed to his lips. Li Manchu quickly took out a tissue to help him wipe it off. What kind of quality is this? What kind of damn quality? Damn. The man wiped the old spit that nearly entered his mouth and cursed loudly. Darling, let us not stoop to his level. He's just a filthy food delivery guy. What kind of quality can he have? Li Manchu hurriedly comforted him from the side. You were blind back then, choosing a man like him. The man, Shen Mingshan, sneered, then took out a wet wipe to clean his face. I was young and didn't know better. Li Manchu pouted, acting like a poor, innocent woman. All right. Let us not talk about the past. I'll take you to a fancy restaurant to celebrate. Shen Mingshan reached out to pinch her cheek and started the car. Chapter 2, What a Coincidence. At Holiday International. The developer positioned it as a high-end community, but in reality, it's more of a mid to high-end development, far from the true high-end communities of Jiangcheng. Delivery drivers aren't allowed to bring their electric bikes into their community, so Yang Hao had to walk. Since he was delivering a birthday cake, he didn't dare to rush, taking extra care along the way. With just 2 minutes left on the delivery time, he arrived at the customer's door. He rang the doorbell on the fingerprint lock, and after a moment, the door opened. Thank you. A woman in her early 30s, wearing an apron, smiled warmly as she took the cake. You're welcome. Yang Hao responded, tapping delivered on his phone. Just as he was about to leave, the woman suddenly called out to him, Wait a moment, big brother. What's up? Yang Hao looked at her, puzzled. There are a few cockroaches in the kitchen, could you help me catch them? I'll give you 50 yuan. The woman spoke with some frustration. Oh, all right. Yang Hao, struggling financially, didn't hesitate. 50 yuan was a significant amount for him and could even mean an extra meal for his daughter tonight. Thanks. Please come in. The woman took a pair of men's slippers from the shoe cabinet. As she bent down to pick them up, her pajama pants stretched tightly, outlining the curve of her hips, an alluring sight that was the charm of a woman in her prime. Once inside, Yang Hao subconsciously glanced around the room and noticed a wedding photo hanging on the wall. The woman was indeed beautiful when she was younger. Through the V-neck of her wedding dress, the outline of her enticing cleavage could still be seen. The man in the photo with her was refined looking, wearing a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. Huh, This man looks somewhat familiar. No way, could it be? Yang Hao was stunned. This was the guy he had just spat on earlier, the BMW man. He didn't know the man's full name, but he knew his last name was Shen. He was the department director at the advertising company where Li Manchu worked. Li Manchu had mentioned Director Shen frequently when she first started, so Yang Hao wasn't surprised when the two got involved. But what he hadn't expected was that the beautiful woman in front of him was actually Director Shen's wife. Big brother, the kitchen is over here. Seeing Yang Hao standing still in a daze, Wang Shuaru reminded him. Oh, right. Yang Hao snapped back to reality, his gaze inadvertently brushing over Wang Shuaru's face. She wasn't as strikingly beautiful as Li Manchu, but her figure was definitely more alluring, with a certain mature charm that made her ripe peach in full bloom. Director Shen sure was lucky. Yang Hao silently marveled, but a wicked thought began to form in his mind. Damn, I'm a decent guy. Yang Hao rubbed his temples, trying to shake off the devilish thought in his head. The kitchen wasn't very large, about 7 to 8 square meters, with a row of cabinets along the left wall. Catching a few cockroaches in this kind of space wasn't easy. To do so, he first had to figure out where they were coming from. Cockroaches like dark, damp places, so the area around the drainage pipes was the key. The kitchen only had a sink with a drainage pipe beneath it. After inspecting it carefully, Yang Hao confirmed that it was well sealed, and the cockroaches couldn't come from there. The only other possible entry point was the kitchen vent. He opened the upper cabinet and found that the check valve had loosened, leaving a gap between the exhaust pipe and the wall. Does the kitchen smoke back while cooking? Yang Hao asked Wang Shuaru, who was standing at the door. Yeah. How do you know? Wang Shuaru's eyes brightened with surprise. The check valve is loose. The cockroaches are probably coming from your upstairs or downstairs neighbors. Fortunately, I found it in time. Yang Hao tightened the valve, then added, close the door tight. I'll look for those cockroaches. All right. Wang Shuaru nodded and quickly closed the kitchen door. Now, the kitchen had become a sealed space, and Yang Hao could hunt down the cockroaches. However, finding them wasn't easy. It took all his effort to catch 5 of them. He had no idea how many more might be hiding in places he couldn't reach. He didn't continue searching and instead wrapped the 5 dead cockroaches in a tissue and stepped out of the kitchen. I only found these 5 for now. There might be more, but searching further is too hard. I know a cockroach medicine that works really well. You can buy some later, sprinkle it in the kitchen, close the door, and it should be effective by the next day. Thank you so much. We should add each other on WeChat so I can transfer the money to you. Wang Shuaru thanked him repeatedly. She had only asked the delivery guy to help on a whim, not expecting him to solve the problem so effectively. He not only figured out the cause of the cockroaches but also solved the cooking fume issue. She had complained to her husband about the fume problem multiple times, but he never paid attention. The two exchanged WeChat IDs, and then Wang Shuaru added, Big brother, could you also buy the cockroach medicine for me? I'm not sure where to buy it and I'm afraid of getting the wrong one. If you can, I'll transfer 100 yuan as a thank you. Oh, sure. Yang Hao nodded. At this point, he wasn't really in it for the money, he was more interested in getting to know this beautiful woman. Thanks. Wang Shuaru quickly expressed her thanks and transferred the money. I'll go buy it now. Yang Hao didn't hesitate and accepted the payment. He had a lot of experience with dealing with cockroaches, having worked in the restaurant industry for over 10 years. The back kitchens of restaurants were often infested with cockroaches. He had tried all kinds of methods to deal with them, including using a product called cockroach gel bait, which had proven to be effective. Half an hour later, Yang Hao returned with a box of cockroach gel bait. It has an instruction manual inside. Just follow the instructions. He handed the medicine to Wang Shuaru while advising her. Thanks, how much was it? I'll transfer the money. Wang Shuaru took out her phone, preparing to pay. It's fine, just the 100 yuan is enough. Yang Hao waved his hand. The box of cockroach medicine cost 30 yuan, and the 70 he had left was enough. Of course, he also wanted to build a good rapport with her. Still, let me give it to you. You've helped me so much, Wang Shuaru said with some hesitation. She felt a little guilty, as Yang Hao had spent over an hour running errands for her. If you really want to show your gratitude, just give me a bottle of water. Yang Hao wasn't he being overly polite after all, he had been working hard and was thirsty. I can't believe I didn't think of that, let me get you a bottle. Wen Shuaru blamed herself, then hurried off to grab a bottle of water. Big brother, thank you so much today. I'm not doing it for free, don't mention it, Yang Hao said, waving his hand. This woman really was polite since they met, the word thank you had never left her lips. Is there cake for your child? Yang Hao took a sip of water and casually pointed at the cake on the table. Yes, today is my daughter's 8th birthday. 8 years old, in 1st grade, ho. Yang Hao remarked. Yes, she'll be in 2nd grade in September. A soft, loving light appeared in Wang Shuaru's eyes as she spoke about her daughter. Yang Hao took another sip of water. Originally, he had planned to leave right away, but recalling the face of the man with the last name Shen at the Civil Affairs Bureau, he couldn't help but ask, I noticed the wedding photo on the wall. Is your husband's last name Shen? Yes, do you know him? Wang Shuaru was surprised, not expecting this delivery guy to know her husband. Not exactly. I've seen him in the stairwell when I delivered food to Lingan Advertising, along with. Oh, sorry, I need to take this call. Yang Hao abruptly cut off his sentence, pretending to receive a phone call, and quickly walked towards the elevator area. Chapter 3, 1111 and the Little Aunt. Big brother, could you please finish your sentence? What happened with him and what? Wang Shuaru couldn't help but ask, but just as she spoke, the elevator doors opened, and she saw him step inside. Instinctively, Wang Shuaru clenched her fists. She had always been uneasy about her husband, because he had cheated on her before. However, Shen Mingshan had kneeled in front of her and begged for forgiveness, swearing that he wouldn't make the same mistake again. For the sake of keeping their family intact, she forgave him. But just now, what Yang Hao had said made her doubt Shen Mingshan again. In fact, recently, she had noticed something off about him. He often worked late, attending social events, and when he returned home, he seemed distant. She had read something online that said, if a person doesn't eat at home, it must be because they'd eaten outside. Outside of Holiday International. Yang Hao hopped on his electric bike and continued his deliveries. He had intentionally planted a seed of doubt in Wang Shuaru's mind. Now, he just needed to wait for it to grow. The entire afternoon, Yang Hao was busy running deliveries. At around 4:30 p.m., he finally called it a day and went to Bell Nursery. He arrived a little late, and by the time he got there, 2 to 3 dozen parents had already gathered outside the nursery to pick up their children. Little Yang, how many deliveries did you make today? Just as Yang Hao parked his electric bike, an elderly woman approached him. Not even 30, he replied. Today, he had been delayed a lot. Normally, by this time, he would have made at least 40 deliveries. After months of experience, he was now a skilled deliverman. Little Yang, don't you want to find a mom for 1111? The old lady spoke again. About half a month ago, during a casual conversation, she learned that Yang Hao had gotten a divorce. Judging from her tone now, it seemed like she was trying to set him up with someone. Not planning to at the moment, Yang Hao politely declined. After his marriage to Li Manchu, he really didn't want to marry again. Even if he did, his current situation wouldn't allow it. No house, no car, over 200,000 yuan in debt, and he was a divorced single dad. With his circumstances, he would be at the bottom of the matchmaking hierarchy. Right, you just got divorced. You need some time, the old lady said. Let me know when you want to find someone. I'll help you, she added. This old lady's name was Zhang Guilan. She was there to pick up her grandson from school. Yang Hao's daughter, 1111, was in the same class as Zhang Guilan's grandson, so they often bumped into each other while picking up their kids. While they were talking, there was some commotion at the gate, and the teacher came out with the children. Yang Hao quickly squeezed through the crowd and soon spotted his precious daughter. The little girl was fair and delicate, like a porcelain doll. Daddy. Seeing her father, 1111 waved her little hand excitedly. 1111, go find Daddy, the teacher who brought out the children nodded toward 1111. Goodbye, Teacher Chi. 1111 waved goodbye to her teacher and ran toward her father. Yang Hao immediately scooped up his daughter and gave her a gentle kiss on her chubby cheek. Bankruptcy, divorce, and betrayal from his wife. Recently, Yang Hao had been facing a series of blows, and his mood had been quite down. The only thing that kept him going was his precious daughter. Whenever he felt like giving up, thinking about 11:11 made him feel re-energized. "What did you have for dinner at school?" Yang Hao asked as he carried her, walking back. "Sweet potatoes, chicken wings, tofu, and carrots." 11:11 snuggled her little head against her dad's shoulder, listing the food she had. "That's good." Yang Hao nodded, then gently patted her braid and asked, "Did Teacher Chi do your braids?" "Yes, Teacher Chi did it. She said this braid looks good on me." 11:11's voice was soft and a little proud. "Yes, it's nice. Tomorrow, Daddy will do your braids." As they were talking, father and daughter reached the electric bike. Yang Hao took out a small helmet from the bike seat and put it on 11:11, then let her stand on the footrest. 11:11, stand properly. Daddy's starting the engine now. Okay, let's go. 11:11 cheered energetically. Yang Hao started the bike and soon arrived back at their current rented apartment. It was a resettlement community, and the rent was much cheaper than in regular neighborhoods. The apartment was a 50 square meter one-bedroom unit. It had all the necessary appliances, and the rent was 1,500 yuan per month. In a strong second-tier provincial capital like Jiangcheng, this price was really affordable. When they opened the door, the smell of meat filled the air. "Wow, it smells so good. Is Auntie here?" 11:11 sniffed the air and quickly changed into her slippers, running toward the kitchen. 11:11, don't come in. It's very smoky in here." Just as 11:11 was about to run into the kitchen, a charming young woman popped her head out. "I knew it, Auntie is here." 11:11 really missed Auntie. 11:11's chubby little face lit up with a smile, showing how much she liked the woman. "Auntie missed 11:11 too, that's why I came." The woman winked at 11:11. "Manny, aren't you working today?" Yang Hao wasn't surprised by the woman's appearance, since she often came over, especially in the past month. She visited every few days. However, the relationship between Yang Hao and this woman was a bit awkward. The woman was Li Manchu's younger sister, Li Mani. Li Mani was a journalism student at Jiangcheng University, in her senior year. She started working before the new year and had been an intern reporter at Jiangcheng Evening News for several months. Li Mani had always opposed her sister's divorce from Yang Hao and firmly supported her brother-in-law. Even though she knew her sister had divorced Yang Hao, she still came over to her ex-brother-in-law's house regularly, helping with cooking and taking care of 11:11. It was precisely because of this that 11:11 really liked her beautiful little aunt. "I just had one interview assignment this afternoon, so I'm off now," Li Mani said. "Brother-in-law, go wash your hands, dinner is almost ready," Li Mani said, then returned to the kitchen. Yang Hao took off his work uniform, which was soaked in sweat. After running deliveries for several hours, there was no way he wouldn't sweat. The Kangaroo brand work uniform was designed to be windproof and cold-resistant, so even though it wasn't too cold, it wasn't too breathable, and the sweat quickly soaked through his shirt. He quickly changed into a dry shirt after washing up. By the time he finished, the table was already set with for dishes, braised eel, stir-fried bamboo shoots with pork, tiger skin pig's feet, and stir-fried lotus root slices. Chapter 4 is the benefactor, and also the white moonlight in my heart. Wow, there are so many delicious foods. I want more. Looking at the delicious dishes on the table, 11:11's big eyes sparkled. Maybe she inherited her father's genes, the little girl is a foodie. Although she had already had dinner in kindergarten, she still licked her lips eagerly when she saw the delicious food on the table. What a greedy little cat. Li Mani smiled as she carried 11:11 to the chair and began to serve rice to the three of them. She herself had a small appetite and only served half a bowl, and she served 11:11 another half bowl. Then she picked up another big bowl and tried to fill it with rice. "Manny, I can do it myself." Yang Hao quickly snatched the bowl and only filled himself with half a bowl of rice. Although he was skeptical about the system tasks, Yang Hao still decided to give it a try. After all, even without the system tasks, he still wanted to lose weight. In fact, Yang Hao was not fat before marriage, and his weight was standard. However, his career went smoothly in the first 2 years after marriage, and with the arrival of the little angel 11:11, and Li Manchu was also gentle and virtuous at that time, Yang Hao, who lived a comfortable life, gained more than 50 kilograms in 2 years, and his weight directly exceeded 200 kilograms. His current weight is 192 pounds, which is more than 10 pounds less than his peak period. Brother-in-law, are these dishes not to your liking? Seeing that Yang Hao only served her half a bowl of rice, Li Mani frowned slightly. She came from a poor family and was from a small county town. Her family conditions had improved since her sister and brother-in-law got married. If it weren't for the financial support from her brother-in-law, she would have had no money to attend expensive remedial classes in high school, and she probably wouldn't have been able to get into a national key university like Jiangcheng University. Moreover, her tuition and living expenses for 4 years in college were paid by her brother-in-law. Of course, the money was given to her through her sister Li Mansu, but Li Mani was not a fool. Her sister didn't work, so where did the money come from? In the final analysis, all the money was paid by her brother-in-law. Moreover, this brother-in-law not only funded her schooling, but also paid for her parents to buy a big house in their hometown county. It can be said that their whole family benefited from Yang Hao. Therefore, Li Mani was full of gratitude towards her brother-in-law Yang Hao, and she despised her sister's behavior. She even had a big fight with her sister for this reason, and they have not had any contact for this month. Seeing that her brother-in-law didn't seem to be interested in the dishes she cooked, Li Mani naturally felt a little disappointed. She silently thought that she should practice her cooking skills more when she had the chance in the future. Mani, don't think too much, I just want to lose weight. After all, I'm heading for my 40s, so I can't continue to be overweight. Seeing the little thoughts of his former sister-in-law, Yang Hao explained with a smile. Oh, that's it. Li Mani's brows relaxed and she said with a smile, brother-in-law, you are tall, but not too fat. On the contrary, you give people a burly feeling. Okay, you're the only one who can talk. I'm already 192 pounds, and I'm not fat. Yang Hao smiled and shook his head, then picked up the lotus root slices and chewed them carefully. 1111 on the side was clamoring for meat. Li Mani picked up a large piece of cooked pork knuckle meat and put it into the little girl's bowl. 1111 immediately started eating with great relish, her lips were greasy, and she looked very cute. Pig trotter is the name used in the south of the Yangtze River and the southwest area, while in the north it is called elbow. When you want to eat meat, have a big pork elbow, that is the most satisfying thing. Is work going well lately? After taking a few bites of food, Yang Hao asked. It's okay, I just read the news every day, but the news is pretty boring. When talking about her work, Li Mani pursed her lips slightly. It's not that she was dissatisfied, but the main reason was that there was a big gap between her as a reporter and the reporter she imagined. The imagined interviewees of journalists are all celebrities and politicians, and they go to high-end occasions. But the news she has been covering recently are all about migrant workers demanding wages, disputes over installing elevators in old residential communities, and the installation of vibration devices downstairs. Either she was surrounded by a group of migrant workers complaining, or she was surrounded by a group of uncles and aunts acting as judges. Both sides argued fiercely, and she was sometimes splashed with saliva when she was caught in the middle. I can only say that life is too difficult for young journalists. They don't have the chance to report any valuable big news and can only waste their former dreams of being a journalist on trivial matters. But Li Mani also understood that she was just a young reporter in the internship period, and it would not be her turn to report the big news for the time being. Without the accumulation of small steps, one cannot reach 1,000 miles. Without the accumulation of small streams, one cannot form a river or sea. Take your time. I believe that one day this little girl like you will transform into a great reporter like Li. Yang Hao smiled and comforted him. Brother-in-law, I'm not a little girl anymore. I'll be 22 next month. Li Mani pouted and corrected. Okay, big girl. Yang Hao subconsciously looked at his former sister-in-law who was sitting opposite him. He felt a little dazed because the two sisters looked quite similar. The current Li Mani vaguely had the shadow of Li Mansu back then. The year he met Li Mansu, she was a senior in college and worked part-time in his hot pot restaurant to earn money for her studies. The reason why Yang Hao quickly decided on the other party was that he felt that Li Mansu was a very sensible girl who knew how to help share the burden of the family. But in the end, I was wrong. But now it seems that Li Mani is different from her sister. At least she knows how to be grateful. Of course, people always change, and maybe after working for a few years she will also be objectified by this money-oriented society. In fact, there is nothing wrong with worshipping money. Everyone wants to live a better life. But worshipping money cannot be without moral bottom line and cannot harm innocent people, otherwise it would be against the will of heaven and earth. Yang Hao firmly believes that there is retribution in this world. Therefore, no matter in doing business or dealing with people in life, he will always stick to his bottom line. What's more, he is a father of a daughter, and if not for himself, he should also do good deeds for 1111. To quote a popular saying on the internet, although the world is full of holes, there are always people patching it up. Feeling that Yang Hao's gaze was always on her, Li Mani lowered her head shyly. She had mixed feelings towards her brother-in-law, and at first she thought she was just grateful. But recently she always recalls the scene when Yang Hao first went to their house when she was 16. That year, Yang Hao was 29 years old and had not yet gained weight. His hot pot restaurant business was booming, and it was a time when he was full of energy and vigor. He is tall, handsome, witty and humorous, and exudes the charm of a mature man. For a long time afterwards, her mother would intentionally or unintentionally remind her that if she wanted to find a boyfriend in the future, she should look for someone like her brother-in-law. So even though she had many suitors when she was in college, Li Mani always used Yang Hao as a reference. The result was that she never met a boy who made her heart beat fast. So for Li Mani, this brother-in-law who once funded their entire family was not only a benefactor, but also the white moonlight in her heart when she was young and ignorant. It is the real white moonlight, because it illuminates the poor Li family and brings great changes to their living environment. Chapter 5. Wait for the boss to call you at any time. In order to lose weight, Yang Hao didn't dare to consume too many calories, and he stopped eating after finishing half a bowl of rice. However, 1111, who had already eaten in kindergarten, showed off her little foodie nature and ate the meat happily with big mouthfuls. Li Mani looked very accomplished, and from time to time she picked up a few pieces of fish and put them into the little girl's bowl. Brother-in-law, you can go to work without worry. I can help 1111 with her homework at home. When the meal was almost finished, Li Mani spoke. Well, I'll be back around 8. You'll still have the bus back to school then. It was just past 5 o'clock, and Yang Hao decided to go out for another 3-hour run to help digest the food. Take a short break. Yang Hao changed into his work clothes and went out again. It was dinner time and the number of orders was large. With his rich experience, he could take 3 orders at the same time. I was busy like this until almost 8 o'clock, and the evening rush hour was over. Ding, we got a new order for you. Yang Hao had just taken a breath when the kangaroo takeaway notification sounded again. He took a look and saw that the place to pick up the food was only a few hundred meters away from him, and it was a barbecue restaurant. Yang Hao started the electric bike and quickly arrived at the store. Is Kangaroo 018 okay? Yang Hao gave the order number and asked the waiter standing behind the bar. Wait a moment. The other party was fiddling with his phone and replied casually. This situation was normal, so Yang Hao had no choice but to sit down in the waiting area. Brother Hao. As soon as he sat down, a familiar voice suddenly rang out. Yang Hao looked up and was slightly startled. The person who called me was a pretty girl. She wasn't particularly beautiful, but she looked pleasing to the eye at first glance and was the type that was more pleasing to the eye. Yang Hao is very familiar with this girl. Her name is Shumai Zhu. She was the manager of Yang Hao's hot pot restaurant. She has followed him since he opened his first hot pot restaurant. At that time, Shumai Zhu was only 18 years old. After dropping out of high school, she went to Jiangcheng to work. Her first job was as a waitress in Yang Hao's hot pot restaurant. This girl was smart and hardworking. When Yang Hao opened his second hot pot restaurant, he promoted her to manager. She followed Yang Hao until all the hot pot restaurants closed down last year. Mai Zhu, long time no see. Yang Hao felt very sad when he saw this subordinate who had once followed him loyally. Shumai Zhu was only 18 years old when she first arrived in Jiangcheng. Now 10 years have passed. The young girl is no longer young. She is 28 years old this year. Brother Hao, how have you been lately? Shumai Zhu looked Yang Hao up and down, her eyes a little red. She felt sad that her boss, who was once full of vigor and vitality and the man she had secretly liked for many years, had fallen to such a state. She really wanted to rush up and hug him. But when he thought that Yang Hao was a family man, he suppressed the impulse. It's pretty good. I don't have to start my own business. I can relax. Yang Hao smiled and shrugged. Just as Shumai Zhu was about to say something else, a waiter came over in a hurry. Manager, there is a customer over there who wants to return a dish. Well, I'll be right there. Xu Maizhu agreed, then smiled apologetically at Yang Hao. Brother Hao, I just came back after the Chinese New Year. Let's have dinner together when we have time. Let's contact each other via WeChat. Okay, get busy. Yang Hao nodded slightly. With Xu Meizhu's experience and ability in the catering industry, it was actually a bit of a waste of her talent to be the manager of such a small barbecue restaurant. Later, when Yang Hao opened 5 stores, she helped him manage 3 of them. Kangaroo 018 is ready. At this time, the waiter shouted to him. Recovering his gradually drifting thoughts, Yang Hao took the packed takeaway and left quickly. In store. After dealing with the troublesome customer, Xu Maizhu turned around and looked towards the waiting area, but the familiar figure was gone. She looked at the place where the man had just appeared in a daze. Last year, all of Yang Hao's hotpot restaurants went bankrupt. Apart from Yang Hao himself, she should be the saddest one. At first she just wanted to work and earn money, but by accident she became Yang Hao's employee. Later, she gradually fell in love with this sunny, cheerful and capable boss. She worked harder, hoping to gain appreciation and recognition from her boss. Later, Yang Hao really trusted her and recognized her work ability, so he promoted her to store manager. However, she did not have the courage to confess her feelings, fearing that after failure, they would not be able to maintain their existing relationship. Later, Li Mansu worked part-time in the store. She saw the boss she loved get together with the other party, get married and have children. Xu Maizhu could only bury her love deep in her heart, work diligently, and stay with Yang Hao in another way. But everything ended last year. She no longer had any reason to stay with the other person. Feeling disheartened, she returned to her hometown and accepted her mother's blind date arrangement. She met several blind dates, but they couldn't get along with any of them. In fact, she knew that it was not necessarily because they had nothing to talk about, but mainly because she still had concerns in her heart. So during the Chinese New Year, she returned to Jiangcheng. Sister Maizhu, do you know the delivery man just now? Just when Xu Maizhu was in a daze, a young waitress patted her arm gently and asked with a smile. Yes, my boss. Xu Maizhu replied casually. Boss. The waitress looked suspicious, as if she wanted to ask the boss why he was delivering food. Oh, once upon a time. Xu Maizhu added. I see. The waitress smiled and said, Sister Maizhu, you must be secretly happy that he used to be so arrogant, but now he is delivering food. What are you thinking about? Xu Maizhu tapped her head and said, not all bosses are like our current boss. He was very nice to me and to the other employees too. Well. So he is a good boss. The waitress was a little surprised. She had been working as a waitress for 2 years and had worked in 3 stores, but had never met the legendary good boss. Xu Maizhu smiled and said, anyway, if he opens another store, I'd still like to work for him. After saying that, Xu Maizhu took out her mobile phone and opened the WeChat chat box with Yang Hao. The last message was sent during the Chinese New Year. She hesitated for a moment, then edited a message and sent it. The overall environment is gradually getting better, and I'm waiting for the boss to call me at any time. Sister Maizhu is already delivering food. Are you going to deliver food with him? The waitress who was peeping from the side joked with a smile. If he needs it, it's okay. Xu Maizhu spread her hands gently. Well. The waitress was slightly startled, and then a look of realization appeared on her face. Sister Maizhu, do you like him? Xu Maizhu did not respond directly, but knocked on the other person's head again. Go to work, you only know gossip. Chapter 6. Lose £1 and receive 100,000 yuan. After delivering the order to the barbecue restaurant, Yang Hao finished work and went home. He completed a total of 42 orders today and earned about 160 yuan. Including the money given by Wang Shueru, he had more than 200 yuan in his account. Recently, Yang Hao's daily income is around 2 to 300 yuan, which is a huge difference compared to when he opened the hot pot restaurant. At the beginning, there was a huge psychological gap, but now I'm used to it and my mentality is much calmer. Take the incident when I met Xu Maizhu just now for example. If it was him who just delivered the takeaway, his mentality would probably explode, he would feel very embarrassed, and even choose to avoid contact with the other party. But it's different now. After experiencing the ups and downs of his career and the twists and turns of his life, he feels that he has become stronger inside. The so-called face is actually the most false thing, like a demon in the heart, or like a natural chasm across the human heart. If you can't overcome it and cross it, your whole life will be controlled by it. For the sake of face, you do things you don't want to do and say things you don't want to say, but in the end you are the one who suffers. This is what is called dying for dignity and suffering in the end. But the reality is, when you are strong, you don't need something like face to enhance your value, and when you are down and out, the face you force yourself to maintain will not bring you a bit of respect. Beep. The cell phone suddenly rang. It was a WeChat message from Xu Maizhu. Yang Hao clicked on it to check, and after seeing the content she sent, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise slightly. Of course, he didn't plan to deliver food for the rest of his life. This was just a temporary stopgap measure. In fact, while delivering food, he was also evaluating the business of each store. The process of delivering food was also a process of market research for him. As long as he has the chance, he believes that he will be able to take off again. It was exactly 8:30 when Yang Hao got home. Li Mani was sitting by the bed and telling 1111 a story. She was holding a storybook in her hands and was very focused. After hearing the door open, she turned her head and made a gesture to Yang Hao to keep quiet. The little girl lying on the bed could no longer open her eyes and was about to fall asleep. Yang Hao nodded slightly and took off his work clothes carefully. After a while, Li Mani finished her story and 1111 fell asleep completely. She put down the storybook in her hand and looked at the time. It was already 8:40. It would take her almost an hour to take the bus from here to school, not including the time walking to the station, so she had to leave, otherwise she would not be able to enter the dormitory. I'll take you to the station. Yang Hao knew that Li Mani South dormitory building would close at 10 o'clock, so the time was a bit tight for leaving now. No need, you should stay at home with 1111. Li Mani shook her head gently. It's okay, they are all asleep. Besides, we'll be back soon. Yang Hao picked up the windbreaker from the hanger and put it on. Let's hurry up then. Li Mani no longer refused. This place was 1.5 bus stops away from the bus stop where she was going to take the bus. It would take at least 10 minutes to walk there. Downstairs. Li Mani sat in the back seat of the electric scooter, carefully holding the corner of Yang Hao's clothes. It was not the first time she rode Yang Hao's electric car, but her heart beat faster for some unknown reason. It was still relatively cold in Jiangcheng at the end of February, and the night wind was very chilly. The wool coat on Li Mani was not windproof at all, and the electric scooter was blown directly to the bone. She subconsciously leaned forward and immediately felt a lot warmer. The little hand that was pinching the corner of Yang Hao's clothes also turned into a hugging posture. Feeling his former sister-in-law getting closer to him, Yang Hao became a little nervous, especially when her long hair was blown by the wind and a few strands of hair fell into his collar. The soft hair rubbed gently against his neck, which made him a little distracted. Just as Li Mani said during the meal, she will be 22 years old soon and a big girl. In fact, Yang Hao had never really thought of Li Mani as an adult before. In his subconscious, Li Mani was still the little girl in high school when he first met her, as if she had not grown up yet. But the fact is, she is almost at the age when she met her sister. Are my mother-in-law and father-in-law fixed in this life? An absurd idea flashed through Yang Hao's mind. He quickly turned the accelerator with force, using the increase in car speed to dispel this unrealistic idea. Not to mention the awkward relationship between the two. From the perspective of conditions alone, he is extremely mismatched. He is 35 years old, divorced with children, has no car or house, and is in debt of 215,000. Li Mani is not even 22 years old yet. She is an excellent student in the journalism department of Jiangcheng University. She has a slim figure and is as pretty as jade. Currently, she is a reporter for Jiangcheng Evening News. She has a bright future. Therefore, no matter how you look at it, the two are not suitable. It's not right for him to have impure thoughts about a young girl at his age. Yang Hao silently blamed himself in his heart. Soon the electric car arrived at the bus stop, and coincidentally, the bus that Li Mani was going to take also arrived at the station. Go. Let me know via WeChat when you get to school. Yang Hao waved to Li Mani. Well, ride slowly when you go back and be careful. Li Mani reminded as she walked towards the bus. Yang Hao nodded slightly, and after the bus drove away, he rode his electric scooter home. When I got home, 1111 was still sleeping soundly. This little girl has been able to eat and sleep since she was young, so Yang Hao doesn't have to worry about her eating and sleeping problems at all. After taking a shower in the bathroom, Yang Hao lay down on the bed and soon fell asleep due to sleepiness. Bite. Task progress reminder. It was detected that their host successfully lost 1 kilogram and currently weighs 191 kilograms. Settlement reward, 100,000 yuan. Yang Hao, who was already asleep, was suddenly awakened by a mechanical prompt sound. He opened his eyes drowsily. 1111 was still sleeping beside him. He didn't know what the little girl was dreaming about. Her little mouth moved a few times. Beep. The screen of the mobile phone on the bedside table lit up, and it was a text message from the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China. Yang Hao opened the text message and glanced at it, and immediately all his sleepiness disappeared. Just now, 100,000 yuan was deposited into his bank card. Yang Hao rubbed his eyes in disbelief. The text message was still there. He opened the ICBC app again and checked the balance. Sure enough, the bank card balance, which was only 2,658 yuan, had become 102,658 yuan. The system actually exists. Yang Hao sat up from the bed, his heart beating faster with excitement. He had read online novels, but he had never imagined that one day he would have a system as powerful as the protagonists in those novels. But where does this money come from? Yang Hao quickly checked the transfer information, and then became even more confused. Because the transferor was actually Yuanxi Investment Company, Limited. He created this company in the game Monopoly, and Yuanxi is the name of his beloved daughter. In other words, this Yuanxi Investment Company, Limited, is not a real company at all. But how can the companies in this game transfer money to the real world? Does this company really exist? Yang Hao quickly searched the name of the company on the internet, and then became even more confused. Because he actually found it. This company is headquartered in Beijing and is an investment company under the Yang Group. Oh shit. Yang Group. Is it the Yang Group I belong to in the game? Yang Hao pinched his thigh hard, and the pain made the corners of his mouth twitch violently. He rushed to the bathroom again, filled the basin with water, and then plunged his head in. About a minute later, feeling short of breath, he raised his head sharply, and water splashed onto the ground. In the mirror, my face was covered with water stains and I looked frightened. Not a dream. This horse is actually real. Chapter 7. I don't have a mother anymore. When a person is deprived of oxygen, he will wake up from a dream. Therefore, Yang Hao was sure that he was not dreaming. Judging from the current known situation, the Monopoly game he played actually came into reality. This means that all the wealth he has accumulated in the game may belong to him. Thinking of this, Yang Hao swallowed hard. That was trillions of wealth. The Yang Group in the game is involved in many industries, and if it were placed in the real world in China, it would have almost no rivals. But, there is only 100,000 yuan now. Yang Hao wiped the water droplets from his face and sat on the sofa in the living room to think. The first thing he thought of was the system, and then the main task. I summoned the system page with my mind, and the progress of the main task was 0%. Yang Hao seemed to understand something. This main task should be the process of him inheriting all the property in the game. Now, according to the system, his weight is overweight and does not fit the image of a rich man as set by the game, so he has to lose weight first. No, it seems that I set this standard myself. Yang Hao remembers that when he first entered the Monopoly game, he needed to create a character, and he created the character according to the standards of his youth. So now the system is asking him to lose weight to the 150 pounds he set at the time, in order to fit the image in the game. Yang Hao wasn't sure if his thinking was correct, but this feeling was magical. Before, he was playing games, developing the characters in the game little by little, and expanding the business empire in the game. But now it has become a game to play with him, just like he was trained by the game in the beginning. Well, if I can inherit all the property in the game, it doesn't matter if I'm being raised. There's nothing wrong with being a rich man. Yang Hao took a deep breath and gradually calmed down, but he was no longer sleepy. He opened WeChat, found the person with the note, Lao Wei, in the recent chat list, and directly transferred 50,000 yuan to him. Then he left a message, "Thanks, brother." Lao Wei's full name is Wei Farzai, and the name reflects all the expectations his parents have for him. The two were roommates in college and had always had a very good relationship. Before, in order to repay the loan, Yang Hao borrowed money everywhere. In fact, he did not ask Wei Fatsai for money because he knew that the other party had always been living in poverty. Although his name is Wei Fatsai, he is actually a very down-to-earth person. Unlike Yang Hao, who likes to start a business, he joined a property company after graduating from university and has worked diligently for more than 10 years. Currently, he is only the supervisor of the customer service department with a monthly salary of 6 or 7,000. This salary barely reaches the average level in a provincial capital city like Jiangcheng, but he has to pay the mortgage and raise children, and his wife's salary is only more than 3,000 yuan, so life is tight. Yang Hao knew his situation, so he didn't ask him for money at that time, but after Wei Fatsai learned about Yang Hao's situation, he took the initiative to give him 50,000 yuan. This is truly a timely help. So now that he has some money in his hand, the first thing Yang Hao does is to pay back his money. If nothing unexpected happens, this amount of money should be all the savings of the couple, which they saved bit by bit from their teeth. After I sent the WeChat message, the other party didn't respond. He must have fallen asleep. Yang Hao opened Alipay again and paid back the 15,000 yuan debt he owed to Jibei. After some operations, his debt amount decreased from 215,000 to 150,000. Among the 150,000 yuan, 100,000 yuan was borrowed from his second uncle. His second uncle's family was well off and they were not in a hurry to use the money. The other 50,000 yuan was lent to him by his childhood friend Liu Zifeng. This guy is an old bachelor who has been a playboy. He went from being a little prince of nightclubs to an old prince of nightclubs. He has been working in car sales and is currently the sales manager of an Audi 4S store. In fact, he has made a lot of money over the years, but he has not saved much, and all his money is spent on girls. There is no rush to pay back his money, because even if you do, it is still with some girl, so it is better to save it for him first. Due to his excitement, Yang Hao didn't fall into a sleep until after 3 in the morning. "Dad, wake up. Dad, it's time to send me to school." Yang Hao heard his daughters cry while half asleep and half awake. He slowly opened his eyes and saw 1111's chubby little face. The little girl was staring at him, her long eyelashes fluttering like two small fans. "Well, these long eyelashes are inherited from me." Yang Hao thought happily, then stretched out his hand and pinched his precious daughter's chubby face. "Daddy has slept too much. Get up and wash up." Yang Hao sat up from the bed, feeling refreshed. "It's already 8 o'clock. Dad is a lazy pig tilder." 1111 pointed at the wall clock and complained. Yang Hao glanced at the time on the wall clock and was shocked. It's actually 8 o'clock. The kindergarten requires children to be sent to school before 8 o'clock, and 1111 was already late. Yang Hao quickly took his phone and sent a WeChat message to 1111's teacher Jiang Yuqi. "Teacher Jiang, I'm sorry, 1111 will be here in about 15 minutes. Please save some food for her." After sending the WeChat message, Yang Hao hurriedly urged 1111 to wash up. The little girl is already 5 years old, and Yang Hao is gradually cultivating her self-care ability. Dressing and washing are the simplest things. After a lot of chaos, the father and daughter finally left the house. Fortunately, 1111's kindergarten is near the community and can be reached in a few minutes. In addition to 1111, there were also some children who were late. Jiang Yuqi was just waiting at the door to pick up a little fat boy. When she saw Yang Hao riding an electric bike from a distance, she did not go into their house but waited at the door for a while. "Morning, Teacher Chichi." 1111 jumped off the pedal of the electric scooter, then waved with a smile at Jiang Yuqi, who was standing at the door. "Good morning." Jiang Yuqi responded gently that this was her second year as a kindergarten teacher. She was still passionate and patient with the children, and she had a very good reputation among parents. "Teacher Jiang, thank you for your help," Yang Hao said politely. "It's okay. It's what I should do." 1111 said goodbye to Dad. Jiang Yuqi touched 1111's little head lovingly. She liked 1111 very much because this little girl was very cute, lively and obedient. "Goodbye, Dad." 1111 immediately waved her chubby little hands at Yang Hao. Yang Hao also smiled and waved, with the doting love of an old father in his eyes almost overflowing. "There's nothing I can do about it, since it's such a heavy daughter slave. By the way, Brother Yang, our kindergarten is having a parent-child sports meet this Saturday. It would be best if both parents attend." Jiang Yuqi didn't know about Yang Hao's situation, because 1111 had only transferred to this cheap kindergarten a few months ago. She had met Lee Mansu several times before, but Yang Hao had been picking up and dropping off 1111 recently. She thought 1111's mother might just be busy with work. Okay, got it. Yang Hao didn't explain anything, just nodded. However, 1111, who had been in a good mood, now looked gloomy. She knew that her parents had divorced, and she also knew that her mother didn't want her and her father anymore. She was only 5 years old and didn't understand what hatred was, but she thought her mother was so cruel. However, she still missed her mother sometimes. After all, no matter how sensible she was just a 5-year-old child. Whenever the children around her talked about their mothers, she always felt that she was missing something. 1111, why are you unhappy? Jiang Yuqi, who was walking towards the classroom holding 1111's little hand, noticed the little girl's abnormal mood. Teacher Chichi, I don't have a mother anymore. 1111 sniffed and spoke softly. Chapter 8. Start the weight loss and money-making mode. Jiang Yuqi was stunned and analyzed the meaning of 1111's words in her mind. The little girl said, I don't have a mother anymore. Did her mother die? No wonder I haven't seen anyone recently. After all, 1111 was young and expressed herself too clearly, which led Jiang Yuqi to misunderstand. She quickly picked up the little girl and whispered to comfort her, it's okay, you still have your dad and teacher Chichi. Then can teacher Chichi be my mother? 1111 asked innocently. Well. Jiang Yuqi was speechless, and Yang Hao's figure subconsciously appeared in her mind. There are very few children who are picked up and dropped off by their fathers in kindergarten, so she had a good impression of Yang Hao, but that was all, she didn't have any other thoughts. Jiang Yuqi is 23 years old this year. She graduated from Jiangcheng Normal University with a college degree in preschool education. Although she worked hard to obtain a teacher's certificate, it was too difficult for her to enter a regular primary school with her college degree, so she could only work as a kindergarten teacher. Although her job and family background are average, her advantage is that she is beautiful and has never lacked suitors. What's more, Jiang Yuqi is a part-time anchor with 40,000 fans on Quyin. When she is lucky, her income from live streaming is higher than her salary. Maybe she will have the opportunity to become a big internet celebrity in the future. Therefore, it is naturally unlikely for her to find an old man who is widowed and takes care of children. But she didn't want to hurt 1111's feelings at this time, so she touched the little girl's forehead and said, as long as 1111 behaves well, the teacher will consider it. Yeah, I'll be good. 1111 nodded repeatedly, and the light in her big eyes bloomed again. The other side. Instead of delivering takeout, Yang Hao looked up weight loss recipes on the internet. If losing 1 pound of weight costs 100,000 yuan, then why bother delivering takeout? Losing weight should be the top priority. Soon he locked onto a recipe titled, Challenge to Lose 10 Pounds in 5 Days. On the first day, eat 2 eggs each morning, noon and evening. The next day, eat 2 tomatoes each morning, noon and evening. On the third day, eat 1 corn each morning, noon and evening. On the fourth day, eat half a pound of chicken breast each morning, noon and evening. On the fifth day, drink a glass of pure milk each morning, noon and evening. This diet is so extreme that it is more like a life-saving package to ensure that the eater will not starve to death. But what is foreseeable is that this way of eating is definitely useful. And now Yang Hao wants to lose weight quickly. So he decided to try this life-saving meal, and after returning home, he boiled 2 eggs for himself. But after eating, he felt as if he had not eaten at all. There was nothing he could do about it. His basic weight was 191 pounds, and he usually had a big appetite. Suddenly, his breakfast became 2 eggs, and it was difficult for his body to adapt. But when he thought about making 100,000 yuan for losing 1 pound, he was suddenly full of motivation. You can't just rely on diet, you still have to combine it with exercise. Yang Hao thought of the newly opened fitness center nearby. He had delivered takeout there several times. The venue was very large and there was also a swimming pool. With the idea in mind, Yang Hao took action immediately and rode his electric scooter to the fitness center. Hello, sir. Do you want to apply for a card? Or. Yu Lily at the front desk greeted everyone warmly, but halfway through her words she suddenly realized that the man in front of her looked familiar. Are you the delivery guy? Among the group of delivery boys, Yang Hao's tall figure is quite recognizable, so Yu Lily recognized him quickly. It's me. But I'm not here to deliver takeaway today. I just want to ask how you charge here. Yang Hao replied with a smile. Okay, I'll find you a coach to introduce the situation here. Yu Lily picked up the intercom on the bar counter. She thought for a moment, then raised her lips slyly. Cindy, there is a customer at the front desk. Come and greet him. Brother, please sit down and wait for a moment. Yu Lily did not neglect Yang Hao because of his status as a delivery boy, and politely pointed to the sofa next to her. No, I'm just going to take a look. Yang Hao put his hands behind his back and looked inside through the floor-to-ceiling glass behind the bar. On the first floor was a swimming pool with 5 lanes. The one-way length was about 30 meters. It was very good for a fitness center to have a swimming pool of this size. Just as Yang Hao was visiting the swimming pool, a tall girl came over. She was estimated to be over 170 centimeters tall, with a healthy wheat-colored skin. She was wearing a black fitness top that exposed her belly. Her belly was flat and firm, her waist was slender, and her bust was full. She was wearing a pair of yoga pants that outlined her perfect hip contact and long legs. Cindy, this is the big brother. Please receive him. Yu Lily pointed at Yang Hao. Hello, sir. My name is Sun Cindy. I'm the fitness coach here. Let me take you around first. Sun Cindy gave a brief self-introduction and then led Yang Hao to the swimming area on the first floor. Lily, why are you still introducing customers to Sun Cindy? As soon as the two left, another female receptionist, Zhu Ling, asked with a puzzled look on her face. There was a conflict between Yu Lily and Sun Cindy, and almost everyone in the store knew about it. The cause was that a customer in the store took a fancy to Yu Lily and started pursuing her. Originally, Yu Lily was quite satisfied with the guy and was prepared to persuade him to give her some gifts before agreeing to date him. As a result, after Sun Cindy started working in the store, the customer who was pursuing her fell in love with another woman and started pursuing Sun Cindy madly. Although Sun Cindy did not agree to the other party at all, the black carp in the fish pond was caught away by someone, and Yu Lily was naturally very uncomfortable. Do you think a stinky delivery guy can get a gym membership in our store? Yu Lily asked with a smile. Yes. So Sun Cindy's work was in vain, and her reception qualification was only used once today. Zhu Ling showed a look of realization on her face, but she couldn't help but silently complain in her heart, this woman is so bad. The store's natural visitors will be assigned to different coaches for reception at the front desk. If an order is placed, the commission will belong to this coach. However, after one reception, all other coaches will have their turns before there will be another chance. There are fewer customers visiting on weekdays and there are many coaches in the store, so there may only be one reception opportunity a day. Therefore, if Sun Cindy cannot place an order with Yang Hao, there is a high probability that she will not have the opportunity to receive anyone today. Sun Cindy had been in the store for a short time and was not usually at the front desk, so she had no impression of Yang Hao, the delivery man, and treated him as a normal customer. Brother Yang, the first floor of our store is the swimming area, the second floor is the equipment area, the third floor is the entertainment area, the fourth floor is the aerobics area, and the fifth floor is the fighting area. We are now on the first floor. Sun Cindy was introducing herself seriously. She must have been exercising before being called over. Her long brown chestnut hair was tied into a high ponytail behind her head and she had a pink headband on her forehead, giving her a very sunny and healthy feeling. I want to lose weight to 150 kilograms in a short period of time. Do you have any ideas? After listening to her explanation, Yang Hao asked directly. Brother Yang, what is your current weight? Sun Cindy asked as she looked Yang Hao up and down. 191 pounds. That means I have to lose 40 pounds. It's 41 pounds. Yang Hao emphasized that 1 pound is 100,000 yuan, and this price cannot be reduced. In fact, losing weight is nothing more than two things: control your diet and move your legs. If you stick to a healthy diet and exercise regularly, you will definitely lose weight. It depends on whether you have the perseverance, Brother Yang. Sun Cindy said with a smile. The willpower is there, the key is to lose weight in a healthy way. Losing 1 pound costs 100,000 yuan. Do you think you have the perseverance? So the problem is not willpower, but that Yang Hao wants to lose weight in a healthy way. For example, the diet he looked up at home can definitely help him lose weight, but it will definitely not be healthy. Yang Hao wants to become a wealthy man, so he can't ruin his health by losing weight. I can develop a weight loss plan for Brother Yang, but Brother Yang needs to follow me in exercising every day, which involves the issue of buying classes. As a fitness coach, Sun Sini's main sources of income are selling classes and teaching classes, and selling classes accounts for the bulk of her income, as the fee for a class is only about 200 yuan. No problem, as long as your plan works. How much is a lesson? Yang Hao was not going to save this money, after all, he was also trying to make more money. 300 per class, and there's a discount if you buy more. Sun Sini said with a smile. Then buy 30 sections first and try the effect. Yang Hao waved his hand generously. 30. Okay. Sun Sini's eyes lit up. She didn't expect this big brother to be so straightforward. You know, it usually takes a lot of persuasion to sell 10 classes. There are also some creepy men who make some dirty requests in the name of buying classes. The brother Yang in front of me didn't say a word and directly bought 30 lessons. He was really generous and magnanimous. Brother Yang, if you buy 30 lessons, I can give you 5 for free. Seeing that Yang Hao was so straightforward, Sun Sini didn't hesitate and gave him 5 classes directly. By the way, Brother Yang, do you have our gym card? Sun Sini asked again. No. Yang Hao shook his head. Then you also need to get a gym membership. The annual membership fee is 38.88. Can? Yang Hao nodded. This fitness center is very large, with 5 floors. The annual pass of 3,888 is not expensive. Brother Yang, let's go get the card. Seeing that Yang Hao was still happy, Sun Sini couldn't help but be overjoyed. 30 private lessons plus an annual card, the total amount was already more than 10,000. The commission rate for the coach selling classes was actually not fixed. The more classes sold, the higher the commission rate. She can get at least 2,000 yuan in commission for this order from Yang Hao, and if things go well it could be over 3,000 yuan. Front desk. Lily, they are back. Zhu Ling discovered that Sun Sini had returned with Yang Hao, and she immediately poked Yu Lily, who was sending a message on WeChat. I guess the delivery guy was scared by the price of our store's annual pass. After all, it costs him half a month's salary. Yu Lily smiled and felt secretly happy. I don't know what he's thinking. Isn't delivering food enough exercise? Zhu Ling whispered sarcastically. She was the kind of fence sitter. When she was with Yu Lily, she could say bad things about Sun Sini, but when she was with Sun Sini, she could also complain about Yu Lily. There were quite a lot of people like her in real life. Chapter 9. He looked so handsome when scanning the QR code. Who knows what he was thinking? Maybe he was attracted by the female coach in our store's fast music. You are old, but you still don't know how much you are worth. If you don't spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, you can't even think of touching a woman like Sun Sini. Yu Lily complained with a look of disdain. Nowadays, almost all businesses have their own short video accounts. This Bolai Fitness Center has 2 accounts on Quyin. One account is dedicated to posting pictures of hot female coaches and female members to attract LS male customers, while the other account is dedicated to posting pictures of handsome and muscular male coaches to attract female customers. This promotional model is quite effective, with a surge in natural visitors every weekend. Lingling, please help me open an annual pass. As soon as the 2 finished complaining, Sun Sini strode to the bar. Open the New Year card. Zhu Ling was stunned. Subconsciously, she had already prepared herself for the delivery man to leave in disgrace. As a result, the script now seems not to go according to what she and Yu Lily had calculated. No, are you really opening a New Year's card? Yu Lily was also confused. She originally wanted to trick Sun Sini, but ended up giving her money. Their commission for an annual card is 15%, which means that she gave Sun Sini nearly 600 yuan for nothing, which was even more painful than losing 600 yuan. Lingling, please send me to the lounge after you open the card. Thank you. Sun Sini ignored Yu Lily. In fact, she probably had some guesses in her mind about why the other party asked him to receive Yang Hao. She thought that the other party must be a client with little purchasing power, otherwise Yu Lily would not be so kind as to push the job to her. However, her philosophy is not to give up on any customer. Since the other party can walk into the fitness center, it means that they are willing to consume, so Sun Sini still does her reception work very seriously. The result was an unexpected gain. Brother Yang, this way please, let's go to the lounge to sign the contract. Sun Sini then took Yang Hao into the lounge next door, which had a tea table and a coffee machine, and functioned as a tea room. "Brother Yang, what would you like to drink? Have some tea." Yang Hao sat directly next to the tea table. When he was a boss before, there was also a tea table in his office. Although he only had a vague understanding of the so-called tea ceremony, the process of making and tasting tea was indeed very edifying. "Especially when I get a little older, I like this feeling more." Sun Sini skillfully brewed a pot of tea for Yang Hao, then poured half a cup and handed it to him. "Brother Yang, let's add each other on WeChat first, and then I'll send you a recipe. You can eat according to the recipe and exercise with me every day. You have a large base, so it won't be a problem for you to lose 20 kilograms in the first month, but it will be slower after that." Sun Sini is a graduate of Jiangcheng Sports College. She worked part-time as a fitness coach during college. After graduation, she didn't find a suitable job, so she became a full-time fitness coach. She has some experience in weight loss. Yang Hao nodded slightly. His goal was to lose 41 kilograms, which was obviously not a task that could be accomplished in a short period of time. The two added each other on WeChat, and then Sun Sini handed Yang Hao 2 contracts, one for the membership card and the other for private lessons. Yang Hao took a quick glance and found that they were all normal standard contracts with no traps. "Sini, the membership card has been processed." At this time, Zhu Ling walked into the lounge with a newly issued membership card in her hand. "Sorry Lingling, I forgot to tell you that I can add another 35 private lessons to my membership card," Sun Sini said with a smile. 35 private lessons." Zhu Ling opened her mouth with a look of surprise on her face, and her eyes subconsciously fell on Yang Hao. The burly brother was drinking tea calmly at the time. "Why do I feel like I have become more handsome? Is this the power of money?" Zhu Ling muttered silently in her heart, agreed and quickly returned to the front desk. "Lily, that delivery guy actually bought 30 private lessons." Although Sun Sini said 35 classes, Zhu Ling knew that this was because the other party bought 5 extra classes for free. 30 private lessons. "Lingling, you must have heard it wrong." Lily was shocked, and she became even more depressed. Their commission for an annual card is only about 600 yuan, but the total price of 30 private lessons is 9,000 yuan, and the lowest commission standard is more than 1,300 yuan. Today is the last day of February. When Lily went to work in the morning, she also looked at Sun Sini's performance this month. If the 9,000 yuan is counted, she has sold more than 30,000 private lessons this month, and 30,000 is exactly the dividing line between 15% and 20% commission. That is to say, after this order, her commission will increase to 20%. Not only did she earn 1,800 yuan from this order, but she could also get an extra 5% from the previous 20,000 yuan. In total, the 9,000 yuan private lessons brought her more than 3,000 yuan in income. Add in the annual membership fee, and that's nearly 4,000 yuan. After calculating the value of this order in her mind, Lily felt terrible. She peeked inside through the floor-to-ceiling glass of the lounge and saw the delivery man drinking tea leisurely. Lily was speechless and cursed inwardly. "You are a food delivery guy, but you paid 12,888 for a gym membership and private lessons. Have you become stupid because of your food delivery job? I never thought that today's food delivery guys are so rich." "Lily, you must be remembering it wrongly. I don't think that man looks like a delivery man. He has the temperament of a boss." Zhu Ling put the membership card into the card reader, skillfully modified the data on the computer, and added 35 private lessons. From now on, when Yang Hao comes for private lessons, he only needs to swipe his card or give his mobile phone number. "I can't remember it wrong," and he also admitted his identity. Lily shook her head and whispered, "Maybe Sun Sini promised something in private, which made the delivery guy willingly send 2 months' salary over." "Well, that seems to be possible." Zhu Ling actually didn't want to respond to this. It was not uncommon in the fitness circle for female fitness coaches to engage in PY transactions with male members in order to sell classes. But Sun Sini is obviously not that kind of person, because the man who pursued Lily before bought 50 private lessons at once in order to please her, but Sun Sini didn't give him a good face and just treated him as a normal member. So it is unlikely that one would devote himself to 30 private lessons. "I'll deliver the card and let him pay. Maybe the delivery guy is just attracted by her looks and will back off when the time comes." Lily was unwilling to give up, so holding on to the last glimmer of hope, she walked into the lounge with her membership card and the special payment code on the bar. "Brother, your card has been processed. Scan the code here, the total is 12,888 yuan." When Yu Lily handed over the membership card, she also handed over the store's payment code. "Thanks." Yang Hao took the membership card, then took out his mobile phone and calmly scanned the code to pay, without any hesitation at all, as if it was not more than 10,000 yuan but just $1. Yu Lily suddenly felt a little dazed, and even felt that the way this guy scanned the code was actually a bit handsome. Chapter 10 Random Task, Promise of the Rich. Yang Hao has been down and out recently, but he is not the kind of person who has never seen money. Spending more than 10,000 yuan did not cause any waves in his heart. After all, he was the owner of 5 hot pot restaurants, and this amount of money was just the daily turnover of one of his restaurants. Yu Lily left the lounge with a complicated look in her eyes. If she had known this would be the case, she would never have pushed the delivery guy to Sun Sini. But he is obviously just a delivery man, and he is willing to spend so much money. "Brother Yang, are we going to start training today?" After Lily left, Sun Sini asked. "Sure, but I don't have any equipment to buy." Yang Hao was wearing casual clothes today, which was indeed not suitable for fitness. "It's like this, Brother Yang, if you are an annual member, we will give you a fitness package. The package includes a set of fitness clothes, slippers, a bath towel, shampoo, shower gel and a fitness backpack. However, the quality of these things is average. You can make do with them first and buy your own later." Sun Sini introduced. "That's great. You guys are very thoughtful." Yang Hao smiled. After all, it's a gift and he would rather accept it. "Brother Yang, please wait a moment. I'll get it for you." Sun Sini left the lounge and returned after a while, holding a fitness backpack with the words Bolai Fitness Center printed on it. She could carry it by hand or on one shoulder, which was quite practical. Inside the backpack was a set of fitness clothes and the bathing supplies that Sun Sini had just mentioned. "Brother Yang, the men's locker room is on the 2nd floor. After you change your clothes, come directly to the 4th floor to find me." "Okay." Yang Hao nodded, left the lounge with Sun Sini, and took the elevator to the 2nd floor. The locker room was very clean and the heater was on high, so it wasn't cold at all. Yang Hao changed his clothes and took the elevator to the 4th floor. This floor is the aerobics area. In addition to the spacious public area, there are also 8 aerobics rooms of various sizes. At this moment, a yoga class is being held in the aerobics room opposite the elevator. 5 or 6 female members are posing in uniform and graceful postures, which is quite pleasing to the eye. "Brother Yang, you are going to lose a lot of weight, so you can't do too much exercise at the beginning. I will lead you to do fat-reducing exercises for half an hour." Sun Sini, who was waiting in the public area, came over and took Yang Hao to a smaller aerobics room, and then started to lead him in fat-reducing exercises. This fat-reducing exercise is the most basic version. The movements are easy to learn, but Yang Hao is relatively heavy and started sweating after doing it for more than 10 minutes. However, the feeling of sweating made him feel refreshed. "Brother Yang, if you feel like you can't keep up, just tell me." This amount of exercise was just a warm-up for Sun Sini. There wasn't even a drop of sweat on her forehead, and her breathing was very steady when she spoke. The woman has such good physical condition that she can definitely give birth naturally. Well, it could be a son. Yang Hao, who was standing behind Sun Sini, had a hard time concentrating. There was nothing he could do because Sun Sini had such a great figure, and the tight yoga pants highlighted her figure perfectly. Her legs were long and straight, her buttocks were firm and full, and they trembled slightly as she jumped. Any man would be speechless when he saw her. Yang Hao managed to persist in the half-hour fat-reducing exercise, but his front and back were already soaked with sweat. "Brother Yang, let's take a break first, and then do half an hour of aerobic exercise," Sun Sini said as she took out a brand new towel and handed it to Yang Hao. "Thanks." Yang Hao took the towel and wiped the sweat off his face. Sun Sini poured him another glass of water in a disposable cup. "Brother Yang, when you come here next time, you'd better bring a cup with you. Fill it with salt water, or just soda water." "Yeah, okay." Yang Hao nodded slightly. This young and beautiful female fitness coach is serious and responsible, and is not just for show. This is inconsistent with what he has heard, that is, female fitness coaches will have sex transactions with male members or something. Some people even call them fitness girls. The girl he met was very decent. She didn't seem to have any other thoughts, and she didn't try to trick him into buying some diet pills or muscle building powder or anything like that. Maybe it's because I'm a righteous man and bad habits can't affect me. Yang Hao thought silently in his heart, picked up the water cup and took a sip to replenish the lost water. Cindy, you are here. I have been looking for you for a long time. At this time, a man wearing black framed glasses came over with a smile on his face. He was slightly fat and about 175 centimeters tall. Although he came here to exercise, he was wearing a Rolex on his wrist. But he was wearing the Oyster Perpetual series, which is considered entry-level and only costs about 40,000 to 50,000 yuan. In fact, it is very embarrassing to wear an entry-level famous watch. People who don't understand it won't think your watch is special, while people who do understand it will think you are too poor. It's the same as when you buy a BMW 1 Series. Others won't think you are rich. They will think you are just pretending to be rich even though you don't have money. I'm in class, and it's not over yet. When she saw this man, a look of disgust involuntarily flashed across Sun Sini's face. Although the other party bought 50 private lessons from her, he had ulterior motives and always wanted to take advantage of her under the guise of lessons. He also often sent her some dirty jokes on WeChat. To describe it simply in 3 words, a creepy man. Sun Sini has been working part-time as a fitness coach since her sophomore year. This year is her 5th year. It is not the first time she has encountered similar creepy men. Anyway, her way of dealing with them is not to have any other contact with them except for normal classes, and she refuses all invitations to dinner or shopping. It's okay, I'll wait for you, there's still half an hour left, right? Xu Linxian sat down in the rest area very familiarly, then looked at Yang Hao. Is this your first time here, brother? You look unfamiliar. Yang Hao nodded slightly. There was nothing to talk about with this stranger. Brother, you really have a good eye. Although Sini has only been here for a short time, her business is really good. I love her class the most. I can't get enough of it. I feel uncomfortable if I don't attend it for a day. As Xu Linxian spoke, his eyes kept scanning Sun Sini's curvy body, and when he said the last part, he raised an eyebrow at Yang Hao, giving an expression that every man would understand. Hearing this, Yang Hao frowned slightly. As a man, he felt that this guy was too disgusting. The word attendance actually has a different meaning between couples. When Xu Linxian winked in front of Sun Sini and said, I love her class the most, I can't get enough of it, he was actually teasing her and making a dirty joke. Although it is natural for men to be lustful, lust and vulgarity are 2 different things. Brother, since you like the class so much, why not buy more? Sini is going to achieve sales at the end of the month, and I just bought 100 classes. Yang Hao said with a smile. Well. Xu Linxian was slightly startled, then smiled and said, I just bought 50 sections not long ago, and I still have more than 20 left. Just support Sini and stockpile it. It won't expire anyway, and your brother already has a Rolex, so you can afford this little money. Yang Hao continued to persuade. This. The corners of Xu Linxian's mouth twitched slightly twice. Flattery is the most deadly because it is difficult to refuse. And he is indeed not a truly rich man. He opened an affordable seafood buffet, and his annual profit is only a few 100,000. He has already spent 15,000 yuan on private lessons. If he buys another 100 lessons, that would be 30,000 yuan. He could afford the money, but it was beyond his budget. Excuse me, I have to take a call first. It was impossible to buy more courses, so Xu Linxian directly used the method of answering the phone and running away. Hello, it's me, the Mercedes-Benz G is in stock, right? Yeah, I'll take some time to go and take a look. This guy even pretended to be cool when he ran away, but it was so fucking perfunctory that he didn't even light up the phone screen. Bite. Trigger random task, promise of the rich. As a wealthy person, you must be trustworthy and keep your promises. As the saying goes, a promise is worth 1,000 gold. Task content, complete 100 private lessons. Mission reward, 10x cash back card. Just as Xu Linxian ran away, the system prompt sound suddenly rang in Yang Hao's mind. Oh, this. Yang Hao was stunned. He didn't expect that he could trigger a random task. Brother Yang, thank you. Sun Sini thanked her sincerely. If it weren't for Yang Hao's actions, Xu Linxian might not have said anything obscene. You're welcome. It's not a big deal. Yang Hao smiled and waved his hand. Brother Yang, let's go downstairs. The second half of the class will be in the equipment area. Sun Sini stood up and subconsciously expanded her chest, causing her already majestic chest to suddenly surge. This figure is really great. Chapter 11. But she is so sexy. Sini, let's go to the first floor first. After entering the elevator, Sun Sini was about to press the button with the number 2, but Yang Hao directly pressed the number 1. Brother Yang, are you going to the swimming area? In addition to the swimming area, the first floor has the front desk, a lounge for signing contracts, and an office, so customers will not go to the first floor except for swimming. I'll buy another 70 private lessons, making a total of 100. Yang Hao said calmly. Buy another 70 sections. Sun Sini was shocked and looked at Yang Hao in disbelief. If Yang Hao's previous consumption was considered normal, then the sudden addition of 70 private lessons were definitely not normal. Does he want to pursue me too? After a brief moment of daze, an idea emerged in Sun Sini's mind. She had met a similar customer before, who bought 100 lessons at once in order to pursue her. However, that was when she was still in college, and her tuition fee was low at that time, only 150 yuan per lesson. Now the price of one of her private lessons has increased to 300 yuan, and 100 lessons means 30,000 yuan. Although most of the customers who can come here to work out have decent financial conditions, it is still very rare to spend more than 30,000 yuan on the first day. Rich people are not stupid. In their minds, they also divide women into different levels and silently mark their prices. However, female fitness coaches are not valuable in the eyes of rich people. Unless they meet a country bumpkin who is stupid and has a lot of money, few people will spend a lot of money on them. Front desk. A female fitness trainer wearing a low-cut fitness vest and yoga pants was complaining to Lily. Lily, you actually introduced such a high-quality client to Sun Sini. She must be so sad. Are we still good sisters? The female fitness coach is called Meng Yu. She and Lily are currently roommates and they have a pretty good relationship, at least on the surface they are good friends. That guy is a delivery man. He came to our store to deliver food a few days ago. I don't know what's wrong with him today. He's willing to spend more than 10,000 just for Sun Sini. Lily said with a depressed look on her face. Sun Sini is really good at this. She was able to get more than 10,000 yuan from the delivery guy. By the way, didn't Linxian just come? He looked around the equipment area and didn't see Sun Sini, so he went straight to the 4th floor. Lily, that guy was originally your bootlicker, but now he's Sun Sini's. Meng Yu said sarcastically again. Speaking of Linxian, Lily's face became even uglier. In fact, she had already accepted him in her heart, but she just wanted to hook him again, but she didn't expect that he would get off the hook and run away. Just then, the elevator dinged and Sun Sini and Yang Hao walked out one after another. Seeing the person involved coming, the two of them immediately shut up. Meng Yu opened the energy drink in her hand and drank it while looking at the delivery man who was walking over. He was tall and sturdy, with an average appearance. He was a little overweight but not too fat. A weight of 191 pounds would naturally make an ordinary person look fat, but Yang Hao is tall, so he looks burly and strong. Lingling, please help add 85 more private lessons to Brother Yang's card. Sun Sini walked to the bar and spoke to Zhu Ling, automatically ignoring Lily and Meng Yu beside her, because she knew that these two people were probably slandering her when they got together. Therefore, Sun Sini deliberately raised her voice when she spoke. Although she didn't like to play tricks, as a woman she knew how to fight back against a woman. Sure enough, as soon as she said this, Lily and Meng Yu were stunned. In particular, Meng Yu, who was drinking water, choked on the water. How many sessions? Zhu Ling was also confused, thinking to herself, didn't he this big brother just buy 30 sections? 85 knots. Sun Sini repeated calmly. Yang Hao wants to buy another 70 lessons, which together with the previous 30 lessons will make a total of 100 lessons. Buying 100 private lessons gives 20 for free, which is considered a normal operation. 5 lessons have been given for free before, so just add 15 more now. Okay. After a moment of confusion, Zhu Ling quickly retrieved Yang Hao's membership card information and added 85 more private lessons. Scan this code, right. Yang Hao, who had been silent, pointed at the QR code in front of the computer and asked. Yes. Zhu Ling nodded repeatedly. Yang Hao took out his mobile phone and calmly scanned the code to pay. The small speaker next to the computer immediately emitted the reminder sound of Long Pay received a payment of 21,000 yuan. Thank you. Yang Hao's main point is to be polite. He nodded to Zhu Ling, who helped him to recharge the card. You're welcome. Zhu Ling waved her hands repeatedly, but in her heart she was overturning the image of the takeaway brother that Yu Lily had helped her build. Still delivering takeout. How dare you make over 30,000 yuan for a takeaway delivery in less than an hour? Bite. Congratulations to the host for completing the random task, Promise of the Rich. Reward, 10x cashback card. Cashback card activation. Beep. The next second, Yang Hao's cell phone rang. It was a text message from the bank. He clicked on the text message and took a look. A smile appeared on his face involuntarily. 210,000 has arrived. This speed of making money is just too good to be true. The success of this mission also gave Yang Hao an idea of a way to exploit the bug. To put it bluntly, the so-called promise of a rich man means that the bragging he made must be fulfilled. And after redemption, the system will also give rewards. I just spent 21,000. If the amount is 210,000, wouldn't I get a direct reward of 2,100,000? If you can really exploit the bug like this, becoming a billionaire will be just around the corner. Brother Yang, let's continue to go to class. At this moment, Sun Sini's gaze towards Yang Hao was a little softer than before. Everyone has vanity, and Sun Sini is no exception. The operation just now made her feel relieved. She felt like she was getting a blow from someone's face, which was very cool. In addition, Yang Hao had already left a good impression on her, so she naturally had a better impression of this elder brother. They are spending real money, unlike some male customers who only know how to sweet talk and have dirty intentions even if they really buy private lessons. Even when she was promoting private lessons, the other party would directly make conditions, such as asking her to sleep with him in exchange for buying 30 lessons, but Yang Hao did not mention any conditions. It is rare to find such an upright and generous brother. The two walked into the elevator and went upstairs together. But when the elevator door closed, the three women at the front desk were shocked. 100 lessons. He actually bought 100 private lessons in one go. Lily, you actually pushed such a rich man to Sun Sini. What on earth were you thinking? Meng Yu stamped her feet in grief. He's obviously the delivery guy. Yu Lily was about to cry at this moment. She could no longer calculate how much money her tricks had given to Sun Sini. Lily, you must have recognized the wrong person. Have you ever seen a delivery man who dares to charge so much money? Zhu Ling added. Lingling is right. Those delivery guys would only choose the cheapest lunch. How can they afford private lessons? Lily, I'm really crying because of your stupidity. That's 100 private lessons. If that were my performance, I could treat you to dinner for a month. Meng Yu was both envious and jealous. Although her figure and looks are not as good as Sun Sini, she is very sexy. Her monthly performance is higher than Sun Sini's. Dealing with men is what she is best at. Chapter 12. This is the super rich brother. Three beauties, what are you talking about? At this time, Xu Linxian, who had already changed into swimming trunks, walked out of the swimming area wearing a bath towel. He originally wanted to swim for a while and then go to Sun Sini for private lessons, but when he thought about the loss of face he had just suffered, he felt a little depressed and also began to doubt what Yang Hao said. That's 100 private lessons, not just 10 that you can buy whenever you want. So he wanted to come to the front desk to ask about the situation and see if what Yang Hao said was true. Brother Xu, you came really early today. Meng Yu greeted him with a smile. Although she knew that Xu Linxian was not as generous as Yang Hao just now, he was also a potential customer who could buy 50 private lessons at a time. It would always be a good idea to maintain a good relationship with him. The store is busy in the morning, but becomes busy afternoon. Xu Linxian glanced at Meng Yu's half-exposed chest. He had been working out at the Bolai Fitness Center for more than half a year and had known Meng Yu for a long time. This woman looked like she was very sleepy, but in fact she was very smart. Many male customers had been seduced by her. It was okay to touch her hands and flirt with her, but it was difficult to take her to a hotel. These women are all skilled, gold diggers, and difficult to deal with, so Xu Linxian gave up after a few contacts. The cost-effectiveness was too low. She was not as good as the front desk clerk Yu Lily, who had a good appearance and figure, and was not as smart as Meng Yuyu. However, in comparison, Sun Sini was the most attractive to him. Brother Shu, you have a competitor. Brother Yang just gave Sun Sini 100 private lessons. Meng Yuyu said with a smile. Really? Do you know where he came from? Shu Linxian originally wanted to inquire about this matter, but he didn't expect Meng Yuyu to take the initiative to talk about it. He then took the opportunity to inquire about Yang Hao's background. However, Meng Yuyu did not take up the topic, but said with a smile, Brother Shu, today is the last day of this month, help your sister to boost sales. The corners of Shu Linxuan's mouth twitched slightly, and he knew that Meng Yuyu was so enthusiastic because she couldn't hold it in. Yuyu, it's not that I don't want to help you. You know I still have dozens of classes. Well, come to my restaurant to eat when you have time, and I'll give you guys a free meal. I'm going to go swimming first, you guys chat. Shu Linxian is not a fool. He would not waste money on Meng Yuyu. Several male customers he knows have bought dozens of classes, but in the end they just touched her hand. When they went out together, they just went out for dinner and shopping. If they wanted to have in-depth communication, they would have to spend money. Lily, see, this guy is not as generous as that brother Yang. Don't be fooled by the way he pretends to be rich. He is actually very poor. Who would wear such a heavy watch when working out? He's afraid that others won't know he has a Rolex, and it's hard to tell whether it's real or fake. Seeing Shu Linxian running away, Meng Yuyu immediately started to complain in a low voice. Yu Lily nodded in agreement. She just recalled what Shu Linxian had done in the past. This guy especially liked to show off and showed off his Rolex watch all day long. He was in his 30s, but he was really low. The equipment area on the second floor. Sun Sini first helped Yang Hao get familiar with the various equipment, and then trained him for half an hour. Although the intensity was not high, Yang Hao still broke out in a sweat and felt refreshed. Brother Yang, that's all for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Just schedule a time on WeChat. Sun Sini said as she wiped the sweat from her forehead. Yang Hao nodded. If nothing unexpected happens, it will be this time. Okay. Fitness coaches are usually free in the morning, so Sun Sini is very happy for Yang Hao to come in the morning, so that she has more time for private lessons. Brother Yang, wait a moment, do you have time later? Just as Yang Hao was about to leave, Sun Sini suddenly asked. I haven't had anything to do recently. My main task is to lose weight. Yang Hao stopped and said. In that case, I'll treat you to lunch. There's a store next to Starlight City that specializes in light meals. It's perfect for those who want to lose weight. Sun Sini felt that the man had bought 100 lessons from her without making any requests and was very well behaved during the private lessons. There were very few good men like him, so she wanted to express her gratitude. Okay. It was already past 11 o'clock. Yang Hao was already hungry because he had only eaten 2 eggs in the morning and had done a lot of exercise. He had been thinking about going out for lunch. Now that a beauty like Sun Sini had taken the initiative to invite him, he was naturally happy to agree. See you on the first floor later. Okay. After the appointment, the two went into their respective locker rooms. The hardware and software facilities of this Bolai Fitness Center are very good. The shower rooms in the locker room are comparable to small bathtubs. In addition to the shower heads, there are also 2 hot tubs for bathing. Well, that's great. $38.88 a year is really good value for money. Yang Hao sighed silently in his heart while taking a shower. Bite. Trigger random task, appreciation of the rich. As a rich man, there is no need to appreciate other people's things. Task content, check in at Bolai Fitness Center for 30 consecutive days. Note, the daily clock-in time must not be less than 1 hour. Mission reward, ownership of Bolai Fitness Center. Current clock-in days, 1 day. Remaining days to clock in, 29 days. Oh shit. This works too. Yang Hao, who was taking a shower, was shocked. Such a large fitness center belonged to him after he clocked in for 30 days. So magical. Hey, it seems like I have a national chain of fitness facilities in the game. This is really the game coming true. Yang Hao was overjoyed. This Bolai Fitness Center must be worth several million at least. It belongs to him after checking in for 30 days. It's so comfortable. He was just a little curious about how this fitness center would provide him with what he wanted. After taking a shower, Yang Hao walked out while wiping his body with a towel, and then he saw a middle-aged man sitting in the hot spring pool rubbing the dead skin on the soles of his feet. If he had not received the task, he would have been calm. But now he frowned, thinking that he would have to put up a warning sign on the wall after taking over. This behavior was a bit disgusting. After changing his clothes and drying his hair, Yang Hao took the elevator down to the first floor. Then he saw Yu Lili and Zhu Ling sitting behind the front desk slacking off, one of them playing mobile games and the other having a video chat on WeChat. Their work at the front desk is still too idle, so let's add a live broadcast task, which can be regarded as a means of promotion for the fitness center. Yang Hao was silently calculating in his mind that Boss Yang had already begun planning the future of his own fitness center. Brother Yang, you've practiced well. Zhu Ling, who was playing games, saw Yang Hao coming out of the elevator and immediately greeted him enthusiastically. Yang Hao nodded slightly in response, thinking in his heart that the female receptionist named Zhu Ling was quite dedicated and had not forgotten her job even though she was slacking off. Brother Yang, take care. Yu Lili has now completely changed her opinion of Yang Hao. Goddamn delivery guy. This is the super rich brother. Chapter 13 The Wind Blows Grandma Cool. Yang Hao was quite satisfied with the reactions of the two. Their basic salary of the front desk clerk in the fitness center is only 3,000 to 4,000 yuan per month. It is not realistic to expect them to focus all their energy on work with this salary. It is okay to slack off when they have nothing to do, but they must be enthusiastic when customers come to the store or leave, and give customers a good service experience. Of course, the front desk clerk at the fitness center doesn't just get a basic salary, he or she also gets a commission for opening a card. As long as a customer opens an annual card in the store, no matter who the customer is, the front desk clerk will get a commission of 50 yuan, which is split equally between two people, 25 yuan each. Moreover, the front desk clerk can also invite his or her relatives and friends to apply for gym memberships, and the sales commission will be his or hers. In short, for a fitness center, all employees are actually salespeople. Brother Yang, let's go. Sun Sini walked out of the stairwell. She had changed into casual clothes. She wore a short denim jacket on top and a white fitness vest underneath, revealing her slender waist. She wore the same casual jeans as the jacket on the bottom. Although they were not slim-fitting, her long legs were still eye-catching. Sun Sini looked hot and sexy in her fitness clothes before, and now she looks sunny and lively in casual clothes. Well, let's go. Yang Hao smiled and nodded, and then the two of them walked out of the fitness center together in the shocked gazes of Yu Lili and Zhu Ling. Par, I thought she was so noble. 100 private lessons and he was taken away. After the two of them left, Yu Lili immediately started complaining. I also thought Sun Sini was trying to hook a big boss. I didn't expect that it could be done in just 100 private lessons. Zhu Ling echoed. So, there is no such thing as a pure white, it's just that there are not enough chips. Yu Lili curled her lips slightly. Although she was complaining about Sun Sini, she was still a little envious in her heart. If an older brother gave her more than 30,000 yuan when they met for the first time, she probably wouldn't be able to bear it. Lily, where do you think they will go? Zhu Ling asked with a gossipy look on her face. Where else can we go? Let's get a room. It's lunch break. Yu Lili looked at the time, it was exactly 11:30. If you hadn't told me to take a lunch break, I would have forgotten about it. What should I eat today? For ordinary workers like Zhu Ling, lunch is the second thing they look forward to every day, and the first thing they look forward to is getting off work. She opened Are You Hungry? And started browsing. People like her who often order takeout would use Are You Hungry? And Kangaroo Group interchangeably, using whichever one had red envelopes. Yu Lili wanted to gossip a little, but when she saw her foodie colleague had already started choosing takeout, she joined in and said, let's order together. It'll be cheaper if you get a discount. Aha! Lily, how about eating spicy hot pot today? Zhu Ling swallowed as she looked at the brightly colored food pictures. Okay, but it has to be slightly spicy. Aha! Zhu Ling nodded and started the operation. At this time, Xu Linxian, who had just finished swimming, walked over from the swimming area. Lily, was it Sun Sini who went out just now? Xu Linxian vaguely saw Sun Sini following Yang Hao out in the swimming pool, so he hurried over to ask about the situation. Yes. Sun Sini left with Brother Yang. The corners of Yu Lily's mouth curled up slightly. Seeing this man being humiliated, she felt secretly happy. This takes people away. Xu Linxian looked depressed and even felt a little pain in his heart. Damn, if I had known that I could get him away with just 100 private lessons, I would have taken 50 more. Xu Linxian regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. Brother Yarn gave 100 private lessons. Not to mention Sun Sini, I don't think any of the female fitness coaches in our store can stand up to him. Yu Lily continued to finish off the enemy. But what she said was true. Anyway, her roommate Meng Yu couldn't stand it. Even if she didn't give herself to him directly, she would definitely give him some sweet treat. Xu Linxian stopped talking and returned to the swimming area without saying a word, then went straight back to the men's locker room from the swimming area. He was not in the mood to work out today. Outside the store, Sun Sini was a little confused looking at the electric bike in front of her. She thought that her brother, who could easily buy 100 private lessons, would have to open a BBA. As a result, let alone BBA, it's not even a car with 4 wheels. This guy actually rode an electric bike. Well, this low-key rich man. Sun Sini, who has worked in the fitness industry for several years, has come into contact with many wealthy people, some of whom are very low-key. My eldest brother's house should be nearby. Riding an electric scooter is indeed much more convenient than driving a car. Sun Sini thought silently in her heart. It will be cold to ride in an electric car, so put on your coat. Yang Hao took off his coat. Sun Sini was wearing a short denim jacket and a fitness vest, revealing her slender waist. The temperature outside was 12 degrees today, so it was still very cold to ride an electric scooter. No need, I can't get hit by the wind if I hide behind you. And it only takes 5 minutes at most to ride an electric bike to Starlight City. Sun Sini smiled and pushed the coat back. Yang Hao was wearing a plaid shirt under his coat, so the wind would naturally blow through him when he was riding the electric scooter. That's fine. Yang Hao didn't insist, since the distance was really not far anyway. He put on his coat again, took out the pink helmet prepared for 1111 from under the battery car seat and handed it to Sun Sini. It's for my daughter, it might be a little small. It's okay, it's cute. Sun Sini took the helmet and put it on her head. But there were some waves in my heart. It turns out that this brother Yarn has a daughter, which means he has a family. In fact, Sun Sini didn't want anything to really happen between her and Yang Hao. She just thought that this big brother was generous and upright, and it would be nice to make friends with him. However, what she didn't realize was that the good impression she had of Ji-sun during their time together had made her subconsciously regard him as a potential candidate for a potential relationship. So, when the other party honestly told her that he had a daughter, she still felt a little disappointed. She had fantasized about what her future partner would be like, but she had never thought of becoming a stepmother as soon as she got married. What's more, this brother Yang might already have a wife. Phew, Tilder. I've been thinking too much. Just making friends. Sun Sini collected her wandering thoughts, stretched out her long legs and straddled the back seat of the electric scooter. Hold on tight. Yang Hao gave a reminder, then turned the ignition switch, and the electric vehicle drove towards Starlight City in the cold wind of late February. Sun Sini, who was sitting in the back seat, underestimated the chill in the cold wind. When the electric car started, she felt a chill in her lower abdomen and even her chest. She suddenly remembered the nickname that some wretched men in the game always like to use, "The wind blows my grandma cold." Woohoo, it's really cold. Sun Sini subconsciously moved her butt forward, and then hugged Yang Hao's thick waist tightly. After their bodies were pressed together, Sun Sini suddenly felt much warmer. Don't say fat people are useless, they really can block the wind at the critical moment. The 191-pound Yang Hao stood in front of Sun Sini like a towering mountain, blocking the coldness from the front for her. Soon the two arrived at the intersection in front of Starlight City. The traffic here was quite heavy, so Yang Hao's electric bike had to stop in front of the crosswalk and wait for the red light. The male drivers who were also waiting for the red light in their cars were all stunned when they saw Sun Sini sitting in the back seat of the electric scooter. Shouldn't such a beautiful woman sit in the passenger seat of a luxury car? A man who usually likes to take videos raised his mobile phone to take a video, and then skillfully posted it to his Kuaishou. The background music he chose was the recently popular song Actually Nothing, and the text was, "I smoked a pack of cigarettes and still didn't figure out where I lost." Yang Hao and Sun Sini, who were waiting for the red light, naturally didn't know about this. When the green light came on, Yang Hao turned the ignition switch and drove the electric bike with Sun Sini directly to the carport next to the side gate of Starlight City. Are you frozen? After locking the car, Yang Hao looked at Sun Sini with a little shame. It was really rare for such a beautiful woman to sit on the electric car with him and enjoy the cool wind. After all, a beauty of her level can easily sit in the passenger seat of a luxury car if she has any evil thoughts. It can be seen that this beautiful coach has good character. It's not cold. You're blocking the wind in front of me. Sun Sini smiled. In fact, both sides of her waist were reddened by the cold wind, but she couldn't say it directly. When Yang Hao bent down to put the helmet back into the storage space under the seat, he happened to see Sun Sini's slender waist blown red by the cold wind, and he immediately felt guilty. Bite. Trigger random task, rich man's guilt. As a wealthy man, it is impossible for him to let the woman who follows him suffer materially. Task content, give Sun Sini a gift that will make her satisfied. Mission reward, a BYDU8. Just as Yang Hao was about to walk into the mall, the system prompt sounded in his mind again. He paused slightly, and then a look of joy appeared on his face. This is really what you need. BYD looks up to U8, the top domestic luxury car, priced at 1.09 million. When the price of this car was announced, there was a lot of ridicule on the internet, and some big VS even claimed that the annual sales volume would not exceed 300 units. As a result, more than 400 U8s were delivered within half a month after its official launch, and the undelivered orders exceeded 30,000. You laugh at others who spend 1 million to buy a BYD, and others laugh at you for not knowing the art of showing off. People who spend more than 1 million to buy Mercedes-Benz or BMW can only be considered rich, but people who spend more than 1 million to buy BYD are definitely real rich people. Chapter 14 Encounter with Ex-Wife. Since it was a weekday, there were not many people in the mall. Sun Sini brought Yang Hao to the light meal shop on the 4th floor with ease. She ordered a boiled beef salad set meal for Yang Hao and a grilled chicken breast set meal with multi-grain wrap for herself. People who are in the fat loss period are not forbidden to eat meat, but they should eat it selectively. Meats such as chicken, beef, and shrimp that are high in protein and very low in fat can be eaten with confidence. However, beef and shrimp are relatively expensive, and chicken breast has the best value for money, but it tastes bad. Nowadays, people pay more and more attention to body management, so many light meal restaurants are doing good business. Moreover, their customer groups are mostly young women and white-collar workers who are more willing to spend money, and the average customer spending is much higher than that of ordinary fast food restaurants. Take the 2 meal sets ordered by Sun Sini for example. Yang Hao's beef salad set cost 42 yuan, her multi-grain bread and grilled chicken breast set cost 28 yuan, and she ordered 2 cups of corn juice at 8 yuan each. A normal light lunch for 2 people cost 86 yuan. Since Sun Sini had agreed to treat him, Yang Hao did not rush to pay the bill. The main reason was that he still had a task to complete later, and he could just use the excuse of Sun Sini treating him to lunch to give her a gift in return, so that it would not seem too abrupt. The lunch was very pleasant, mainly because both of them had cheerful personalities, and Yang Hao had more than 10 years of experience in the catering industry, so communicating with people was his specialty. Therefore, during the conversation, he was actually always in a dominant position, and the content of the conversation was also within his comfort zone, so that he appeared to be very knowledgeable. If you're not in a hurry to go back, please walk around with me. I want to buy 2 sets of clothes for working out. Yang Hao spoke as they walked out of the light meal shop. Sure, no rush. Sun Sini nodded with a smile. Through this lunch, she had a deeper understanding of this big brother who bought 100 private lessons from her. He gave people a very calm feeling, but in fact he was humorous, knowledgeable, and had the charm of a mature man. Sun Sini felt quite relaxed when she was with him, so she was not opposed to going shopping together and even enjoyed it a little. The 2 of them walked all their way back from the 4th floor to the 1st floor. Starlight City is a mid to high-end shopping mall with some luxury brands, all of which are located in the best locations on the 1st floor. For example, LV, Prada, and Cartier, which are well known to Chinese people. While shopping, Yang Hao has been silently paying attention to Sun Sini's gaze. The task given by the system is to give her a gift that will satisfy her. So this gift cannot be given casually, it must be something she likes. Sun Sini was similar to ordinary girls. She would spend a little longer looking at women's clothing and bags, but as she walked along, nothing made her stare for more than 5 seconds. This shows that she is merely interested in those things and doesn't particularly like them. It was not until the two of them passed by Prater that Yang Hao noticed that Sun Sini's eyes lingered on a shoulder bag in the window for a long time, and she even glanced at it out of the corner of her eye after she walked past. It was a Prater patent leather handbag, probably a new model that had just been launched on the market not long ago, otherwise it would not be displayed in the most conspicuous window. My sister's birthday is next month. She's about your age. Please help me choose a gift. Yang Hao stopped and turned around and walked back to the Prater store he had passed. His reason was not nonsense. Li Mani's birthday was March 11th, which was 12 days away. Sun Sini hesitated for a moment, then quickly followed. Miss, if you need anything, I'll help you. Although Sun Sini entered the store later, the female salesperson was obviously able to distinguish between the big king and the small king. She knew that this tall beauty was the leader of this consumption, and the man walking in front was only destined to pay the bill. There was no way the female salesperson could help it, as she had seen this kind of combination too many times. The man walking in front looked to be in his 30s. Although he was tall, he was a little fat and not that handsome. Sun Sini is only in her 20s, and she has a great figure and looks. It must be a great coincidence that the two of them can be together. Of course, the female salesperson did not completely ignore Yang Hao. She greeted him. After all, he was a wealthy man. It was just that his wallet did not look very full, he was dressed very casually, and his wrists were empty. The cashiers in these luxury stores are very good at judging people by their appearance. Of course, judging people by their appearance here is not derogatory, it simply refers to a skill. The plots in online novels where the loser protagonist buys luxury goods from a cheap stall and is looked down upon, and then goes on a shopping spree to get slapped in the face, almost never exist in reality. Even if the luxury goods consumers dress very low-key, they have a unique temperament, which is easy for salesgirls to identify after working for a long time. Moreover, the cashiers in luxury stores are strictly trained. Even if you are dressed poorly, they will not really be sarcastic as described in novels. Brother Yang, what do you want to give to my sister? Sun Sini asked Yang Hao. Send a bag, she's interning at a TV station and it just happens to be of use to her. Yang Hao replied casually. The salesgirl who heard the conversation between the two immediately understood the situation. It turned out that the beautiful woman was accompanying the man to buy a gift for her sister. However, based on her experience, she judged that the man was probably just making up an excuse and the gift was probably for the beautiful woman. Miss, take a look over here, they are all new models. The salesgirl smiled and pointed in the direction of the window. Brother Yang, how old is your sister? Sun Sini asked again. Almost the same as you. Yang Hao replied. After hearing this, the salesgirl became more certain of her judgment. Old men just like to play this kind of trick. They would buy things and then give them to beautiful women to please them. These new bags are actually quite suitable for young ladies of this age. The salesgirl first glanced at Yang Hao, giving him a look that said, I've seen through your tricks, and then began to introduce several bags in the window to Sun Sini. Yang Hao quietly accompanied her by the side and scanned the price tags on the bags. The cheapest ones were over 16,000 yuan, the most expensive ones were over 40,000 yuan, and the handbag that Sun Sini liked was priced at 26,000 yuan, which was all within his affordability range. After all, he still had 210,000 yuan in cash back in his bank card. Outside the store, Li Manchu and Shen Mingshan had just finished their meal on the 4th floor. The inspiration advertising they worked on was in the Xingyao building near Xinguang City, so many white-collar workers who worked in the Xingyao building would come to Xinguang City for lunch at noon. At this moment, the two of them happened to walk outside the Prater store. Li Manchu subconsciously looked into the store. She had her eyes on a bag for a long time, but she was too embarrassed to ask Shen Mingshan for it. She had to find a suitable opportunity, after all, the price was more than 30,000 yuan. At present, she is still in the disguise stage, creating a persona about her husband's gambling addiction and domestic violence, and that she is the victim in the marriage. She does not want to give the other party the impression that she values money very much. However, when she looked into the store, she was stunned, because she saw her ex-husband Yang Hao, who had just divorced her, and next to him was a tall, young and beautiful girl. This. What is going on? Li Manchu's brain suddenly crashed. Her poor ex-husband appeared in the Prater store, accompanied by a young and beautiful woman. I must have eaten too much just now and I am hallucinating. Li Manchu closed her eyes tightly and opened them again, but the two people were still there. Thanks to sharpening scissors and knives, for the 1000 coin reward tilde tilde tilde. Chapter 15, I'm looking for a boyfriend, it has nothing to do with you. Feeling that Li Manchu had slowed down her pace, Shen Mingshan quietly quickened his pace. In fact, whenever he passed by such luxury stores, he would deliberately walk faster to prevent Li Manchu from suddenly asking to go in for a look. Although Shen Mingshan is the marketing director of Inspiration Advertising, his annual income is only 400,000 or 500,000 yuan. He also has a family, so naturally he cannot spend much money on Li Manchu. What's more, the work of the marketing department mainly relies on commissions. Even the basic salary of the director is only 10,000 yuan. Therefore, when he is not placing orders, Shen Mingshan is not financially well off. It is still very difficult for him to buy luxury goods worth tens of thousands of yuan. So when he noticed that Li Manchu slowed down, his idea was to get her away from here as quickly as possible. Mingshan, wait a minute. Seeing Shen Mingshan walking faster and faster, Li Manchu quickly called him. Manchu, there's a lot to do at the company and we don't have time to go shopping. Although Shen Mingshan stopped, he said with a frown. Li Manchu felt a little cold in her heart. She hadn't asked for anything, but the man was so scared. But now was not the time to think about it. She pointed to the product store and said, that man looks like Yang Hao. Yang Hao. Shen Mingshan was stunned for a moment and didn't react to who this person was, because he had never asked Li Manchu's ex-husband's name. That's my ex-husband. Li Manchu began to explain. Oh, that's the delivery guy. Shen Mingshan immediately felt superior, but then he became suspicious and said, that's not right. How could a delivery man like him be in a product store? Oh, maybe he's delivering food. Shen Mingshan immediately thought of the reason. It doesn't look like that. Look, there's a woman next to him. Li Manchu pointed at Sun Sini and said. Shen Mingshan looked in the direction her finger pointed, and his eyes widened. And he complained in his heart about the way Li Manchu addressed her. How could she be called a woman? She should be called a beautiful woman with a curvy figure. Let's go in and take a look. Shen Mingshan took the initiative to propose, but he was thinking that a delivery man would not have the money to pick up girls, so he could try to snatch the beauty away. If she was willing, it would be worth spending some money at Prada. After all, her figure and appearance were there. Good. Li Manchu was also about to go in and find out what was going on, so she nodded immediately. Then the two of them walked into the Prada store. Yang Hao didn't notice the two of them at all, because Sun Sini had already picked up the handbag she had been eyeing and recommended, I think this one is very suitable. Miss, you have a good eye. This handbag is a popular model for spring. It will suit you very well. Stand in front of the mirror and try it on. The salesgirl said with a smile. I'm just helping to choose. Sun Sini explained. You have to try to help, right sir? The salesgirl winked at Yang Hao while speaking, with an expression as if she was about to praise me. Yang Hao smiled and nodded, thinking that this salesgirl was quite perceptive. Although she couldn't possibly know his true intentions, she at least saw that he was going to give Sun Sini a bag. Sini, why don't you try carrying it on your back and see the effect? Yang Hao followed up with another statement. Oh, okay. In fact, Sun Sini tried to carry this bag when she was shopping with her bestie not long ago. She liked it very much, but it was too expensive. Yang Hao. But at this moment, a voice suddenly sounded in the store. In this kind of luxury goods store, people speak in low voices and few people shout like that. For a moment, not only Yang Hao and the other two people's attention, but also the other store clerks were attracted. When Yang Hao saw Li Manchu and Shen Mingshan, he was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect to meet them by such a coincidence. Why are you here? Li Manchu asked angrily while looking at Sun Sini and a handbag in her hand. This confused the salesgirl. She looked at the aggressive Li Manchu, who looked like a wife catching a mistress. Having been a salesgirl for 5 years, she had seen such scenes before, and more than once. But today it feels a little strange. If she is the original wife, why is there another man beside her? Could it be that the couple were just doing their own things and then bumped into each other? That's not right. Since we were just playing our own games, we should have pretended not to see it. The salesgirl's CPU was about to burn out, and she still couldn't figure out the relationship between the two. However, Shen Sini guessed Li Manchu's identity. Yang Hao had already told her about his situation when they were having dinner just now. She knew that this brother had just divorced and had a 5-year-old daughter. The woman in front of him was so aggressive, she was most likely his ex-wife. But you are already my ex-wife and you have a man by your side, why are you still screaming here? Is this powder store opened by you or your directorship? Can't I take a walk? The Yang Hao today is no longer the Yang Hao who got the divorce certificate yesterday. As the saying goes, a poor man has low aspirations. Yesterday, he only dared to spit out some old phlegm to vent his anger, but today the situation is completely different. He is a man who is about to become a millionaire. Even if we leave aside the distant future, he now has 210,000 yuan in his card, which is the confidence for his consumption at Prada. The amount of balance in the card really determines whether a man can get an erection. You also know this is Prada, can you afford to shop here? Li Manchu snorted disdainfully. Whether I can afford it or not, it has nothing to do with you, Ms. Li Manchu. Yang Hao responded calmly. Brother, Manchu is also afraid that you will lose face. You're a delivery man, but instead of delivering food properly, you pretend to be rich and deceive the feelings of young girls. Is that interesting? Shen Mingshan took a step forward and acted as if to expose your hypocritical mask. Through the conversation between the three people, the salesgirl who was watching on the side also roughly figured out the relationship between them. It turned out that a divorced couple met again, but both of them had new people. But what is the point of delivering food? This guy has a bit of the temperament of a small boss, and doesn't look like a delivery man at all. The salesgirl thought silently in her heart. At this time, Shen Mingshan said to Sun Sini, Sister, don't be fooled by him. He is a delivery man. He can't afford the things here and gives them to you. As he spoke, he calmly rolled up his shirt sleeves, revealing the Vacheron Constantin watch on his wrist. This watch is a 3-hand watch from the Overseas series. Although it is the cheapest series of Vacheron Constantin, the public price of this watch is over 100,000. However, Shen Mingshan bought it second-hand for more than 60,000 yuan. It is one of the 3 pieces of clothing that he is proud of. The other 2 items are the BMW 525 parked downstairs in the company and the Hermes handbag that he wanted to shove in front of everyone as soon as he entered the Prada store. Thank you for your reminder, but what kind of boyfriend I find seems to have nothing to do with you. Even if he's delivering food, I'd still like to sit in the back seat of his electric bike and enjoy the breeze. Sun Sini was already unhappy with Li Manchu's attitude, and now Shen Mingshan jumped out to make comments. Sun Sini simply pretended to be Yang Hao's girlfriend and fought back. In the new week, all the book lovers please vote for your children. Thank you tilde tilde tilde. Long live tilde tilde tilde. Chapter 16 Thank you for your girlfriend's help. Boyfriend. Li Manchu keenly captured the key information in Sun Sini's words. Her pupils suddenly widened and her face was full of disbelief. Although she had rarely been home before the 1-month cooling-off period, based on her understanding of Yang Hao, it seemed unlikely that he would start another relationship so soon, especially with a woman who was younger and prettier than her. Shen Mingshan on the side was also confused. He thought Yang Hao was still in the process of deceiving the girl, but he didn't expect that he had already deceived her. Looking at Sun Sini's tall and hot figure, I couldn't help but complain in my heart, such good cabbage was taken away by a pig. MD, I want to be that pig too. Shen Mingshan's heart was instantly filled with jealousy and envy. He silently figured out how to get her contact information. This beautiful woman was obviously easy to fool. She didn't even look down on a delivery man. So, as the marketing director of Inspiration Advertising, it shouldn't be easy for him to control her. Yang Hao, you are amazing. You are looking for a woman right after your divorce. If Yang Hao had just found a woman who was not as good as herself, Li Manchu might not have had too many emotions, but would have been secretly proud in her heart. See, after divorcing me, I can only find a woman like this. But now he was looking for a young and beautiful beauty like Sun Sini. She suddenly felt unbalanced. She felt like she was not the one who dumped Yang Hao, but the one who was dumped. I am looking for one after my divorce. It is reasonable and legal. Unlike some people who are eager to find someone to take over before they even get divorced. To be honest, Yang Hao didn't want to quarrel in such an occasion. It was too embarrassing. But this woman Li Manchu is obviously unreasonable. What does it mean to find a woman right after the divorce? You were flirting with Mr. Shen before you got divorced. Can't you find another woman now that you are divorced? This is a clear display of China's famous double standards. Li Mansu, who was not very smart to begin with, was speechless. She looked at Yang Hao in disbelief. When they were together, he never spoke to her like this. Mr. Yang, please stop slandering me. Manchu and I are just ordinary colleagues. On the surface, Shen Mingshan's words were meant to help Li Mansu regain the moral high ground, but in reality he wanted to tell Sun Sini that he did not have an improper relationship with the woman around him and to reshape his image. Ordinary colleagues, huh? Yang Hao sneered and said, "Do you want me to ask Ms. Wen Shueru to come over so that the three of you can have a face-to-face chat?" Well. You? Shen Mingshan was dumbfounded, his eyes almost popping out from behind his glasses. He really couldn't understand how Yang Hao knew his wife's name. And from the tone of his voice, it seems that he knows his wife. Is he secretly investigating me? Shen Mingshan felt a chill down his spine when he thought of this. As the marketing director of Inspiration Advertising, he had accepted bribes many times. If the other party really investigated these things, not only would he lose his job, he might even have to go to work on a sewing machine. Manchu, let's go. Don't bother with this mad dog. Shen Mingshan panicked and didn't dare to stay and fight anymore, so he turned around and left. Mingshan, you. Li Manchu looked unwilling. She originally wanted to make a few sarcastic remarks, but Shen Mingshan had already left and she couldn't stay alone, so she quickly chased after him. The farce ended abruptly, and the salesgirls who were eating the melon all had expressions of being unsatisfied. Today is a weekday and there are not many customers in the store. It is a happy thing to have such melon to eat. It's a pity that the man was too cowardly and just ran away. Miss, let's continue trying the bags. The salesgirl who served Yang Hao and Sun Sini reacted quickly and quickly put away her thoughts of watching the show. Brother Yang, do you still want to try? Sun Sini looked at Yang Hao. Don't try it. Yang Hao waved his hand. The salesgirl couldn't help feeling disappointed when she heard him say that. It was obvious that after the commotion just now, the sponsor seemed to have changed his mind. But Yang Hao's next sentence made her feel like a roller coaster. Pack up all the ivory and black ones. R. The salesgirl was stunned for a moment, then asked, "Sir, do you want to buy too? Is there something wrong with my expression?" Yang Hao asked back with a smile. No problem, no problem. The salesgirl was beaming with joy. She had thought the money man was about to leave, but there was an unexpected turn of events. Not only did he not leave, he also bought 2 bags in one go. Sir, miss, please wait in the rest area. The salesgirl took the 2 to the lounge area, and other salesgirls immediately brought them tea and snacks. At this moment, Sun Sini's heart was beating fast. This brother Yang bought 2 bags at once. One of them was a birthday present for her sister, so the other one should be for herself, right? This is a Prada handbag worth 26,000 yuan. It is too expensive. Should I accept it? Miss, please check the bag. If everything is okay, I will issue the invoice. Just when Sun Sini was struggling, the salesgirl who received them came back and brought 2 new bags from the warehouse. Sun Sini subconsciously looked at Yang Hao with a questioning look in her eyes. I don't understand, just watch. Yang Hao spread his hands gently. Sun Sini nodded, opened the dust bag with the Prada logo on it, took out the brand new handbag and examined it carefully. It is generally acknowledged that Prada has poor quality. Among those well-known luxury brands, Prada's quality is almost at the bottom. Common problems are deformation, unraveling, easy zipper damage, easy logo loss, etc. If you have a Prada bag of very good quality, then congratulations, it is most likely made in Shenzhen. So when people buy luxury goods, they are not actually looking at its quality, but its brand attributes and social attributes. However, although the quality of Prada is not very good, the probability that a new bag will have problems is still quite small. Sun Sini checked and found that both bags were fine, so she nodded to Yang Hao. Beauty, please issue the ticket. Yang Hao finished the tea in his cup, stood up and followed the salesgirl to the cashier counter, then paid with his credit card. 2 bags cost 52,000. Comfortable. Yang Hao didn't know if this was a disease, but he would feel inexplicably happy when he had money. Therefore, it is understandable that some women spend money when they are in a bad mood. Take care, both of you. Welcome to visit us again. The salesgirl sent Yang Hao and Sun Sini out of the store with a smile on her face, and did not forget to disley Manchu in her heart. You pushed such a good husband to other women. See, if you don't want him, there are plenty of beautiful girls lining up to marry him. Thanks to my girlfriend for helping me. It's just a small gift, not a token of respect. After leaving the Prada store, Yang Hao handed the ivory handbag to Sun Sini. This. Sun Sini had already figured out that one of the two bags was for her, but when Yang Hao really handed the bag to her, she was still a little at a loss. Chapter 17. Women are all vain. Brother Yang, this gift is too valuable. I can't accept it. Although Sun Sini liked this handbag very much, she still felt that she could not accept it. After all, it was the first time they met, and it would not be appropriate to accept such an expensive gift. Sini, don't feel any psychological burden. I just want to express my gratitude. There is no other meaning. Without saying anything, Yang Hao stuffed the shopping bag containing the ivory handbag into Sun Sini's hands. I was thinking to myself that you have to accept this package today whether you want to or not. Otherwise, I won't be able to complete this mission. Brother Yang, this. Sun Sini wanted to refuse, but Yang Hao spoke again. If you really feel bad, help me lose weight in the next month. My goal is to lose 150 pounds. Well. Then I'll bring you a fat-reducing lunch every day. Sun Sini hesitated for a moment and responded. Make a deal. Yang Hao smiled and nodded. Thank you, Brother Yang. Sun Sini really liked this Prada handbag, and Yang Hao's gift was very sincere, so she didn't refuse it. Bite. Congratulations to their host for completing the mission, The Guilt of a Rich Man. The mission reward has been issued. Please go to BYD4S store at number 23 Hanjiang Road, Jiangcheng City to receive a BYD U8. Sure enough, after Sun Sini accepted the gift, the system prompt sounded. Nice. The foreign old man's emoticon package involuntarily emerged in Yang Hao's mind. This gift is so worth it. At this moment, Yang Hao's eyes changed when he looked at Sun Sini. In his eyes, this is not just a beauty, this is simply a big boss who can drop gold coins and equipment. First, he got 210,000 gold coins from the 10x cashback card, and now he got a U8. He began to look forward to what else this big boss could drop. Bolai Fitness Center. Yu Lily and Zhu Ling were eating spicy hot pot behind the bar. Meng Yu also joined them and ordered a braised chicken with rice. The three women were eating lunch and chatting about gossip, and the topic unknowingly turned to Sun Sini and Yang Hao. Lily, Lingling, you two probably didn't see that Brother Yang actually came here on an electric scooter. I happened to see him riding an electric scooter with Sun Sini when I was in class on the second floor. I don't know if this man is really poor or just pretending to be poor. Meng Yu talked about what she saw an hour ago. Riding an electric scooter. I said he was a delivery man. Yu Lily perked up and guessed, he probably spent all his savings on hooking up with Sun Sini. 100 private lessons cost 30,000 yuan. If you work as a delivery boy, you'll have to save up the money for half a year. If that's true, this delivery guy is too infatuated. Zhu Ling sighed. Some liquors are like this, they will not eat or drink to please the goddess. Meng Yu understands the psychology of bootlickers too well, because there are several such bootlickers in her WeChat. They only earn 5,000 to 6,000 yuan a month, but they save money by living frugally to buy her private lessons. Meng Yu's way of dealing with such lickspittles is to keep them hanging. Once she feels that a lickspittle shows signs of giving up, she will give him some sweet treats to let him see hope. She calls this model raising a dog. This is much more joyful than raising a real pet dog, and the key is that there are practical benefits. Oh, poor delivery guy. I guess Sun Sini just accompanied him for a meal. Zhu Ling sighed. A dog licker doesn't deserve sympathy. Meng Yu curled her lips. The reason why lickers become lickers is because they are greedy for other people's bodies, so Meng Yu would not sympathize with them at all. After all, they all lick with a purpose. Just as the three of them were chatting about gossip, the automatic door of the fitness center slowly opened and Sun Sini walked in from outside. The three women's eyes fell on her at the same time. Yu Lily originally wanted to ask sarcastically if it was cold sitting in the back seat of the electric bike. As a result, just as she was about to speak, she saw the Prada shopping bag in Sun Sini's hand. Her pupils shrank slightly and a look of shock appeared on her face. Real life is not Fast 5. In Fast 5, if you buy a Prada product worth more than 20,000 yuan, you will be ridiculed for being too LWO, as it is just a basic model or something. But the reality is that ordinary working people really cannot afford luxury goods like Prada. For example, Yu Lily's basic salary plus their commission for opening a credit card is about 5,000 yuan per month. Their house she and Meng Yuyu share costs 2,800 yuan a month, and their water, electricity, gas and other expenses are more than 3,000 yuan, so her monthly housing expenses are 1,500 yuan. Add to that the 1,500 yuan per month for food, and only 2,000 yuan is left from the 5,000 yuan salary. Add to that the miscellaneous expenses for buying clothes, cosmetics, daily necessities, etc., and it would be good if she could save about 1,000 yuan from the 5,000 yuan salary if she lived frugally. This does not include some unexpected situations and the social costs of interacting with others. A monthly salary of 5,000 is the average income of an ordinary worker, so a Prada handbag worth more than 20,000 is really a luxury for an ordinary worker. Cindy, you've started shopping at Prada now. I'm so envious. Zhu Ling naturally also saw the Prada shopping bag in Sun Cindy's hand. She was a straightforward and cheerful person, so she immediately put down her chopsticks and sighed. Brother Yang gave it to me. Sun Cindy replied calmly. But this sentence caused critical damage to Lily. What kind of wealthy customer did she recommend to Sun Cindy? Any gift you give starts with Prada. A melody involuntarily emerged in Yu Lily's mind. If I could do it again, I would choose Li Bai. What did Brother Yang give you? Accessories, clothes or bags? Zhu Ling asked curiously. She also asked the question that Meng Yuyu was concerned about. Although Prada products are very expensive, scarves, hats or some accessories are relatively cheaper. This also shows the financial strength of Brother Yang. A handbag. Sun Cindy replied truthfully. Girls are all vain, and Sun Cindy is no exception. She knows that Yu Lily is hostile to her because of Xu Linxian, and she also knows that Yu Lily and Meng Yuyu discuss her in private, and occasionally make sarcastic remarks to her. This can be considered a counterattack. After all, Yang Hao was recommended to her by Yu Lily. Wow, it's a handbag. Can I open it and take a look? I passed by Prada several times but didn't dare to go in. There is no doubt that Zhu Ling is a good supporting actor. With her efforts, the atmosphere was so cool that Sun Cindy didn't even need to say anything. Meng Yuyu and Yu Lily actually wanted to see it too. After all, it was Prada. Then let's go to the lounge and watch it. Sun Cindy did not refuse. It was quite nice to be envied by others, especially when two of the three people were somewhat hostile towards her. Yeah, there's no place to dismantle it here. Zhu Ling nodded repeatedly. There were 2 computers and various office supplies on the bar, and the takeaway ordered by the 3 people was placed on the empty space. So the 4 women went into the lounge together. Sun Cindy handed the shopping bag to Zhu Ling, who couldn't wait to take out the dust bag containing the handbag, and then carefully opened the dust bag. The ivory white handbag appeared in front of the 4 people. Wow, it's beautiful. This seems to be a new model. I saw it in the window of Prada when I passed by. Starlight City is nearby and Zhu Ling often goes there to shop, so she recognized at a glance that this was a new product displayed in the window. The style is quite nice. Meng Yuyu praised her, but she was jealous to death in her heart, and silently dissed Yu Lily, her fake best friend, 1,000 times. Such a high-quality customer actually recommended it to Sun Cindy. If she had recommended it to her, 100 private lessons and Prada handbags would all be hers. At this moment, Yu Lily was filled with jealousy and regret. She didn't even want to say a word of praise. She was silently planning to have a good relationship with Brother Yang in the future. Sun Cindy stole Xu Linxian away from her, so she also wanted to snatch him away from Sun Cindy. Cindy, don't be fooled. Nowadays, many scumbags buy high-quality imitations as gifts. I suggest you go to the Prada store in Xinguang City to get it authenticated. At this moment, a man's voice suddenly sounded behind the 4 women. The 4 of them were very familiar with this voice. He was Zhu Honggang, the personal training supervisor of Bolai Fitness Center. He came to the lounge to get some water and happened to hear the conversation between the 4 girls. Zhu Honggang was also one of Sun Cindy's suitors, so he naturally felt uncomfortable when he saw someone giving Sun Cindy such an expensive gift. Cindy, these scumbag men are very sophisticated these days, you have to be on guard. Seeing that Sun Cindy didn't say anything, Zhu Honggang added something earnestly. Brother Gang, Cindy bought this bag at the Prada store in Xinguang City. Zhu Ling told the truth because she didn't want the personal trainer to be embarrassed. Well, I see. Zhu Honggang's mouth twitched. Feeling that he was embarrassed, he tried to make amends. Whether this is sincere or not cannot be judged by giving gifts. It depends on whether he really treats you well. What he said sounded reasonable, but the 4 women present were no longer little girls and could not swallow this cake at all. God can't be measured by gifts. You don't even give a gift, what a bullshit. Chapter 18. This is not a small car, it's a big car. There are many 4S stores on Hanjiang Road, which is a famous automobile sales center in Jiangcheng. In the past few years, BYD 4S stores were almost going bankrupt. However, with the increasing popularity of electric vehicles in recent years, BYD, which has accumulated a lot of technology in batteries and 3 electric technologies, has also ushered in a big explosion. Last year, its annual sales volume reached 3 million vehicles, a figure that was unimaginable before. Yang Hao walked into the store with excitement. After explaining his purpose, the staff immediately took him to the VIP lounge. This is a distinguished U8 owner and he cannot be neglected. After completing the relevant formalities and getting the license plate at the vehicle management office, it was almost 4 in the afternoon when the whole process was completed. Yang Hao sat in the driving seat looking up at the U8, feeling happy. Before his 5 hot pot restaurants went bankrupt, Yang Hao had never bought a real $1 million luxury car. During his most successful years, he bought a second-hand Maserati Ghibli to show off. The quality of that car was only average, but he bought it mainly for the car logo, which looked quite cool when he drove it out. But now this Yangwang U8 is a genuine million-level luxury car. The color he chose is Dragon Stone Green, which looks very grand and textured. The rate of turning heads when driving on the road is almost 100%, especially men, who can hardly take their eyes off it. Anyone who pays a little attention to cars knows that BYD has launched a million-level luxury car, so much so that many people are joking. In the past, people without money bought BYD, but now people without money buy BYD. The selling price is 1.09 million, and the final price is more than 1.2 million. A few years ago, if a domestic car dared to sell at such a price, it would definitely be criticized. Of course, it is also being criticized a lot now. There is no way, there are too many soft bones and Akita dogs. In their perception, anything from abroad is good, and anything from domestically produced is inferior. If you buy a Japanese car, you don't need to wash it for a whole year, the Akitas will lick it clean for you. 4:30. Yang Hao drove his brand new U8 to the gate of Belchin Kindergarten. At this moment, there are quite a few parents' cars parked on the roadside, but most of them are family cars worth around 100,000 yuan, and the better ones are Mercedes-Benz C and Audi A4L. Since there was no place to park at the door, Yang Hao could only drive the car a little further away. Xiao Yang, why aren't you wearing work clothes today? Are you not going to work? When Yang Hao walked to the kindergarten gate, Zhang Guilan, who had been familiar with him for a long time, immediately came up to him and started a conversation. I changed my job and won't be delivering food for the time being. Yang Hao casually replied that Aunt Zhang Guilan was a very enthusiastic person and liked to chat with people, which was a common problem among many elderly people. Changed jobs. That's great. Where are you working this time? Zhang Guilan asked. It can be considered as starting a business. Yang Hao responded perfunctorily. I'm my own boss now, that's awesome. Xiao Yang, let me introduce you to a girlfriend, my niece, she's very beautiful. Zhang Guilan has mentioned several times recently that she wants to introduce a girl to Yang Hao. Before, because Yang Hao was just a delivery man, she was not very enthusiastic. But now, when she heard that Yang Hao started his own business, she suddenly became enthusiastic. Aunt Zhang, thank you. However, I don't have this idea for the time being. Yang Hao shook his head slightly. It's not that you two have to do anything, just try to get in touch with each other first. It's good to have more friends. I'll send her your WeChat later and you can chat casually. Zhang Guilan seemed determined this time, and seeing that she had said so much, Yang Hao couldn't refuse any longer. In fact, it was nothing. At most, there would be one more corpse in his WeChat list. It is hard to say whether the other party will add me. After all, the person who was introduced to me by Zhang Guilan must be an older unmarried woman, also known as an older leftover woman. This type of women has extremely high standards and is very picky, some of them are even quite arrogant. For example, they may not take the initiative to add someone on WeChat. While the two were talking, the kindergarten teacher had already started leading the children out of the classroom. Dad, Dad. Most of the parents who came to pick up their children were mothers or grandparents. Yang Hao, who was 182 centimeters tall, stood out from the crowd and was very conspicuous. 1111 saw her father at a glance and started jumping up and down and shouting. Yang Hao waved to his precious daughter. Seeing her father calling her, the little girl immediately waved to Jiangguqi next to her and said, "Goodbye, Teacher Chichi." "Well, goodbye, 1111. Jiangguqi also waved to 1111, and then nodded slightly at Yang Hao in the crowd. In the past, Yang Hao always wore kangaroo takeaway work clothes, which did not look good at all. But today, he was wearing a set of casual clothes, which made him look like a mature man. His tall and sturdy figure also made people feel safe. Thinking of 1111's words asking her to be mother in the morning, Jiangguqi subconsciously imagined the scene of herself and Yang Hao standing together. She was 165 centimeters tall, and the other person looked over 180 centimeters tall, which was the height difference she liked, and she would also feel like a little bird standing next to him. His external conditions are actually quite suitable, but it's a pity that he is only an uncle. Nowadays, many girls in their early 20s like older men. But the reality is, you are not an uncle just because you reach a certain age. Age is just a supplementary condition. Only those who have reached a certain age and are rich are called uncles, and those who have no money are just greasy old men. In Jiangguqi's heart, Yang Hao was not considered greasy, but he was just an old man who was very good to his daughter. Not a good match. Dad, why didn't you ride the electric bike today? At this moment 1111 was already in Yang Hao's arms. She leaned her little head on her father's shoulder and asked in a soft voice. Dad bought a new car and drove 1111 home. Yang Hao said with a smile. A car. 1111 was a little surprised and blinked her big eyes. She remembered that her family had a car, but later the hot pot restaurant opened by her father went bankrupt, so she sold the car. Children in kindergarten would occasionally talk about whether they had cars at home. Whenever this happened, 1111 would be unable to respond. Some annoying children would also say that 1111 didn't have a car at home. Of course, these children didn't have any intention of mocking her, they just wanted to show off that they had a car. But the sensible 1111 never told her father about these situations because she knew her father was working very hard to make money. Yes, it's a car. Yang Hao smiled and nodded. Wow, we have a car at home. Dad is so awesome tilde. 1111 cheered excitedly. Yang Hao rubbed his baby daughter's head lovingly. 1111 was happy, and he, the old father, was even happier. The father and daughter soon came to the roadside where they parked. Yang Hao pointed at the car that was being watched by two passers-by and said to 1111, "Look, this car will belong to 1111 from now on." Oh! 1111 nodded in surprise, then took a closer look at the big guy parked on the side of the road, pouted and said, "Dad is lying." Yang Hao was a little confused. Why did Dad lie? 1111 put her hands on her waist and said seriously, "This is not a small car, it's a big car." Chapter 19 The Cute Little Cook. Yang Hao supported his chin with one hand and looked at the big guy parked on the side of the road. This really can't be considered a car. 1111 is right, it's a big car. Yang Hao nodded in agreement. 1111 took out a cartoon sticker from her pocket and ran to the big car excitedly. "Dad, can I put it on it?" "Sure." Yang Hao will meet his beloved daughter's requests when the conditions are met, and if the conditions are not available, he will create them. This is what being a daughter slave is like, there's nothing you can do about it. Of course, Yang Hao will not compromise on major issues or values. "Brother, are you crazy? Do you know how much this car costs? Just let your daughter post whatever she wants." At this time, a passerby who was visiting the car suddenly spoke up. He did not hear the previous conversation between the father and daughter. He only heard 1111 ask if it was possible to put a cartoon sticker on the front bumper of the car, and then Yang Hao's answer was yes. "Brother, you can't be so indulgent. This car is obviously new, how can you put random stickers on it?" Another middle-aged man in his 40s also followed suit to persuade. In fact, there is nothing wrong with what this brother said. You really can't just put stickers on other people's cars. But the problem is that this car doesn't belong to anyone else. Yang Hao took out the car key and gently pressed the unlock button, and then the lights of the BYD-8 began to flash. The two passers-by looked at each other. Damn, he is actually the owner of the car. Thank you for the reminder, brother. However, I think we shouldn't stifle children's creativity. Yang Hao said this calmly, full of pressure. The middle-aged man smiled awkwardly at the man who had spoken before. No problem, you are right. The car is yours, so you can smash it if you want. Brother, does this car really cost more than $1 million? The middle-aged brother asked. It's about 1.2 million. Yang Hao replied truthfully. When I win 50,000 first prizes in the double color ball, I will buy one too. The middle-aged man said with anticipation. He has been a lottery player for 20 years and has witnessed countless miracles, so he believes in miracles. 50,000 first prize notes are nothing. Maybe there will be 100,000 or 200,000 notes in the future. Just do it. Anyway, the common people can only feel helpless and angry. Yang Hao gave a thumbs up. This brother is quite humorous. Dad, does it look good? At this time, 1111 had already pasted the cartoon sticker in her hand on the left side of the front bumper. The sticker was George from Peppa Pig. Yeah, it looks good. Do you have any more stickers? Yang Hao asked. Yes. 1111 took out several more pictures from her pocket, including Peppa Pig, Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig. Why don't we post all of them up there? Yang Hao said with a smile. Yes, yes. 1111 nodded repeatedly. The little girl's idea was actually very simple. Her father had just said that the car would be hers from now on, so she had to make a mark on the car, otherwise she would not be able to find it if it was lost. So the father and daughter squatted in front of the bumper and began to carefully stick all the stickers of Peppa Pig, Mummy Pig, and Daddy Pig on it. The middle-aged man and the young man on the side kept shaking their heads. They could not understand the world of rich people. A luxury car worth more than $1 million is just given to a child as a toy. It's so inhumane. The father and daughter were busy for a while and put all 4 stickers on. On the left and right sides of the bumper were George and Peppa Pig, and in the middle were Daddy Pig and Mommy Pig. The family of 4 is neatly arranged and looks much more symmetrical than George alone. Yeah. 1111 was very happy and high-fived her father to celebrate. Yang Hao kissed his precious daughter on the cheek and then carried the little girl into the car. The interior space of this car is very large, and 1111 can stretch her legs when sitting in the back seat. However, Yang Hao was thinking about buying a child's seat so that 1111 would be safer when traveling long distances. I am a daughter slave. I always think about my daughter. Since the rented house was very close to the kindergarten, 5 minutes later I looked up and saw that the U8 had arrived at the bottom of an old residential building. The advantage of living in this kind of old community is that parking spaces are free and you have to grab them. If you get off work early, there are still quite a lot of parking spaces in the community. The father and daughter went upstairs. But when I reached the door, the smell of food wafted out of the house. Hee, my aunt is here. 1111 started dancing with joy. The person she liked first was her father, the second was her aunt, and then her mother. Because ever since she could remember, her mother was very mean and she didn't want her and her father anymore. However, children have a natural desire for maternal love, especially in kindergarten when they are always talking about their mothers. 1111 sometimes feels lost, so she told Jiang Yuqi in the morning that she wanted teacher Chichi to be her mother. Auntie. I'm back. After entering the house, 1111 put on her slippers and ran towards the kitchen. Then Li Mani, who heard the sound, leaned half of her body out of the kitchen to stop 1111 from entering. Yang Hao couldn't help but smile when seeing this familiar scene. The days are getting better. Mani, did you get off work early again today? Yang Hao asked. Today I went with my colleagues to help migrant workers defend their rights. After leaving the labor inspection team in the afternoon, I left work. Li Mani explained. I see. Yang Hao nodded, and then reminded, don't cook when you come early after get off work in the future, or just make some simple vegetarian food. I'm trying to lose weight recently, and 1111 can't eat too much after eating in kindergarten. Yeah, okay. Li Mani nodded and went back into the kitchen to work. After a while, 3 dishes and a soup were placed on the table. The dishes were vinegar carp, pepper tofu, and fried shrimp with blueberries. The soup is wintermelon and pork ribs soup. just as abundant as yesterday. Yang Hao looked at the 3 delicious dishes and 1 soup on the table, then looked at Li Mani. She was wearing a pink apron with a cartoon pattern on it. She had tied her long hair into a high ponytail to make it easier to cook. There were beads of sweat on her smooth forehead. The afterglow of the setting sun shone through the window onto her forehead, casting a crystal clear light. Her smile was as gentle as the spring breeze, and her rather loose apron could not hide her graceful figure. What a lovely little cook! Yang Hao couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Brother-in-law, didn't you deliver the food today? Just when Yang Hao was staring in a daze, Li Mani's voice rang out. Her cheeks flushed slightly, probably because she felt Yang Hao's somewhat hot gaze. Oh, changed jobs. Yang Hao came back to his senses and replied casually. What kind of job? Li Mani asked curiously. It's like starting a business with my friends. Yang Hao replied. Are you still opening a hot pot restaurant? Although Li Mani would not despise Yang Hao's identity as a delivery man, if her brother-in-law was willing to start over, she would naturally be very supportive and would be happy for him. No. My friend opened a fitness center, and I was just helping out. Eat, you've been busy all day. Yang Hao didn't want to continue the topic of starting a business, so he took an empty bowl and started serving soup to 1111. Dad, I want to eat for ribs. Since 1111 had already eaten in kindergarten, Yang Hao only served her 2 ribs, but the little foodie was still not happy. Okay, 4. But if you can't eat it, then don't eat it. Yang Hao added 2 ribs and gave another instruction. Aha! 1111 nodded repeatedly, but this little foodie was thinking about eating 2 more later. In fact, Yang Hao was very hungry at this moment, especially since the 3 dishes and 1 soup on the table looked very good. However, for the sake of the system task and the reward of 100,000 yuan per pound, he still tried to restrain himself and only ate the vegetables but not rice. Fortunately, the dishes that Li Mani cooked today are very suitable for eating during the fat loss period. Ingredients such as bluefish, shrimps, and carp are the most common ingredients in fat loss meals. Even tofu is actually a food with a relatively low fat content. No, this is not a coincidence. Yang Hao suddenly looked up at Li Mani. Did you choose these ingredients because I want to lose weight? Li Mani nodded and whispered, eating these ingredients during the fat loss period will not make you fat, and you will feel full. Thanks for your hard work. Yang Hao felt a little warm in his heart. Yesterday when they were having dinner, he just casually mentioned that he wanted to lose weight, but his former sister-in-law took it to heart. Chapter 20. The blind date ended neatly. Aunt, Dad bought me a big car. What a big car. After the meal, the little foodie 1111 touched her round belly and showed off to her aunt. Really? How big is it? Li Mani thought 1111 was talking about the toy car. She looked around the room but didn't see any trace of the car. So big. 1111 stretched out her arms and gestured, saying, my dad and I also put Paige's family on the car. Oh, is it a real car? Li Mani looked at Yang Hao who was cleaning the table. Well, it's always inconvenient to travel without a car. I'll drive you back to school later and take 1111 out for a walk. There was no way to hide the fact that he had become rich again, and Yang Hao was not planning to hide it from Li Mani. Oh well. Li Mani nodded gently, but her beautiful eyes were full of confusion. She knew her brother-in-law's situation. After the previous house was sold, half of the money was given to her sister, and the other half was used to pay off debts, which seemed not enough. Originally, my brother-in-law could have used all the money from selling the house to pay off the debt and split the remaining money equally between the 2 of them, but for the sake of 1111's custody, he chose to compromise. Because under the current circumstances, if the court is allowed to decide on custody, it will most likely be awarded to Li Mansu. The child is still young, she is the mother, and she has a stable job, all of which are favorable conditions. Li Mani also knew that the house was sold for 2.9 million yuan, 1.1 million yuan of the bank loan was repaid, and the remaining 1.8 million yuan was divided equally between the 2 of them, 900,000 yuan each. Yang Hao's 900,000 yuan was used to repay the debt, while her sister's 900,000 yuan seemed to be used to buy a house. Since she hadn't been in contact recently, she didn't know the specific situation. In other words, the custody of 1111 was actually bought by her brother-in-law from her sister for hundreds of thousands of yuan, and her sister also proposed the additional condition of not paying child support, and Yang Hao agreed. What Li Manchu did can be described in 4 words: abandoning her husband and daughter. Li Mani was extremely disappointed with her sister because of this. She never thought that her sister could be so heartless and selfish. My current financial situation has indeed improved. The reason is a bit complicated. I will tell you slowly when I have time. In short, you don't need to worry about my and 1111's livelihood from now on. When Li Mani was washing dishes in the kitchen, Yang Hao came over and explained. Well, that's a good thing. Li Mani nodded and smiled. This way you don't have to work so hard delivering food every day. In fact, Li Mani was a little worried about her brother-in-law's delivery job. About half a month ago, a kangaroo deliveryman ran a red light on his electric scooter to save time and was hit and killed by a car. The family asked the kangaroo company for compensation, but Kangaroo said that the deliveryman himself violated traffic regulations and was only willing to pay a few tens of thousands of yuan in consolation money. At that time, she went to interview the families of the victims. The kangaroo delivery man who was hit and killed was about the same age as Yang Hao, and his child was only 7 years old. To this day, Li Mani still cannot forget the scene of the little boy crying while holding his father's portrait. She even had a nightmare that night. In the dream, brother-in-law Yang Hao became the victim. 1111 hugged her and cried non-stop, while her sister went to kangaroo company to ask for compensation. Now that her brother-in-law no longer has to deliver food, she can finally put her mind at ease. Mani, go teach 1111 English. I'll clean the kitchen. Li Mani studied very hard during her college years. In addition to English, which she already knew, she also took elective courses in Japanese and French, and achieved proficiency in both. 1111 has also reached the age to learn English, and Li Mani teaches her some simple words and conversations every time she comes home. Good. Li Mani washed her hands and then took off the apron she was wearing. She was wearing a black turtleneck sweater, which was relatively thin and slim-fitting. Without the apron covering her body, her exquisite figure was clearly visible. Yang Hao's gaze paused for a moment, then quickly looked at the sink again. The little girl in my memory has grown up without me noticing. Brother-in-law, let me help you tie your apron. As Li Mani spoke, she tied the apron she had taken off on Yang Hao. The bow on the back was tied very delicately. This pink cartoon apron fits Li Mani perfectly, but it creates a comic effect on Yang Hao, as if a father is secretly wearing his daughter's clothes. Li Mani thought this scene was very funny, and when she walked to the kitchen door, she took out her mobile phone to take a picture. Yang Hao didn't pay much attention to his image, but was attracted by the faint fragrance lingering on the apron. It's strange to say, Li Mani had been busy in the kitchen for so long with an apron on, there should be a smell of oil smoke, but Yang Hao didn't smell any oil smoke at all. Instead, the faint fragrance kept penetrating into his nostrils. This scent is not the smell of perfume. It often appears on beautiful girls. It is a bit exaggerated to say that it is body odor. In short, it is a kind of smell that makes you feel comfortable. So it is said that beautiful girls all smell good, and there is a basis for this. After cleaning up the kitchen, Yang Hao returned to the living room. In fact, the living room and bedroom of this one-bedroom house are integrated. The dining table has now become a desk, and Li Mani is teaching 1111 English. However, because she had just eaten too much, this little foodie felt a little drowsy when listening, and then her aunt Li Mani would gently tap her on the head. Yang Hao didn't disturb them. He took his phone and found that there were several unread WeChat messages. Most of them were news about Wei Farzai. Didn't he Yang Hao return 50,000 yuan to him in the early morning? After this guy woke up and saw the message, he sent a WeChat message to Yang Hao asking about the news. After reading it, Yang Hao was in a hurry to send 1111 to school and forgot to reply. He then forgot about the matter. Wei Farzai should have gotten off work by now. Seeing that Yang Hao hadn't responded, he sent him several more WeChat messages. Yang Hao had no way of explaining the origin of the money, so he simply said that the house in his hometown had been relocated. In fact, there has always been talk of relocating the house where Yang Hao's parents live, but it has never been moved. It is even less likely to be moved given the current real estate downturn, but this is a good reason. Sure enough, after hearing this reason, Wei Farzai directly sent an awesome emoticon, and also said something like Li Manchu would definitely regret it if she knew about it. As a good brother, Wei Farzai felt very sorry for Yang Hao. In addition to Wei Farzai, there were several WeChat messages sent by Zhang Guilan. She first recommended a business card to herself, then said that the person was her niece, and then said that the person was a girl, and hoped that Yang Hao could take the initiative. After a while, he sent another WeChat message to ask if Yang Hao had added him. She is indeed a proud and arrogant older leftover woman. In fact, Yang Hao had already foreseen this situation when Zhang Guilan asked her niece to add him when she sent her WeChat to the other party. In order not to let Aunt Zhang down, Yang Hao took the initiative to add the business card she recommended. The other party's nickname is in English, Alicer. A few years ago, it seemed that having an English name was quite fashionable, but the hairdressing industry has single-handedly suppressed the trend of having English names, which can be regarded as a contribution to cultural confidence. There is no other way, you rack your brains to come up with an English name, Tony. But when I entered the barber shop, I found that my name was the same as your barber. I just want to ask you if you are embarrassed. Alicer quickly passed the friend verification and sent a message. Is your last name Yang? Were you introduced by your second aunt? Yes, it was Aunt Zhang who introduced me. Yang Hao replied. Alicer, then let us just go through the process. Alicer, do you have a house? Yang Hao, no. Alicer, do you have a car? Yang Hao, yes. Alicer, what brand? Yang Hao, BYD. Alicer, I will tell my second aunt that we are not suitable for each other. I hope you can cooperate. Yang Hao, okay. The blind date ended neatly and easily. Chapter 21. The elder sister and brother-in-law divorce, and the younger sister takes over. In fact, Yang Hao thinks that this blind date model is also very good. It is simple and direct, without any procrastination, and it will not waste each other's time. It is much better than making a date in a high-end restaurant and spending hundreds of dollars on a meal. End the conversation with this Alicer. Yang Hao received another new message, which was actually from Li Mansu, asking him who the woman was in the Prater store during the day. Yang Hao was too lazy to reply and pretended not to see it. If the other party wasn't 1111's mother and 1111 still had feelings for her, she would have blocked her long ago. When it was almost 8 o'clock, Yang Hao came downstairs with two beauties, one big and one small. 1111, who was drowsy while learning English, suddenly became energetic after going downstairs. She trotted in front and led her aunt to see her big car. Auntie, here, here. 1111 danced with joy while looking up at the U8, then pointed at the row of Peppa Pigs on the bumper and said, Aunt, there is also Peppa Pig here. Dad and I put it there together. Li Mani was shocked when she looked up at the appearance of the U8. The car was too big, 5.3 meters long and more than 1.9 meters high, with a strong visual impact. Then she subconsciously glanced at the car logo, as if she had never seen it before. Like most girls, Li Mani only knows those brands that are well known to everyone. Naturally, I don't recognize unpopular cars like the U8, which has been on the market for a short time. However, Li Mani had no interest in cars. She walked over to 1111 and touched the little girl's head, then cooperated with her to admire the Peppa Pig family on the bumper, and commented, This pig daddy is a little crooked. Hey, that was posted by Dad. 1111 pouted and glanced at her father who was standing behind her. Get in the car, it's quite cold. Yang Hao leaned over and picked up his precious daughter, then rubbed her chubby face with his slightly grown stubble, his daddy's sticking to her crooked. 1111 dodged the thorns of the beard and said with a smile, It's not crooked at all, Daddy put it the straightest. Besides, it was my aunt who said that my dad pasted it crookedly, so go and stab my aunt. 1111's little brain works very quickly and she even knows how to identify the culprit. However, upon hearing this, Li Mani's pretty face turned slightly red, and she thought to herself that children really speak without restraint. How could she just stab someone like that? However, Yang Hao felt that his daughter was not spoiled in vain and was a filial child. While playing, Yang Hao stuffed his filial daughter into the back seat, and Li Mani also got in the car. The visibility is not very good at night. When Li Mani was outside just now, she just thought that the car was very big. After entering the car, she found that the interior of the car was also very luxurious and it looked very expensive. Brother-in-law, what kind of car is this? It's very beautiful. Li Mani asked curiously. Chinese car, BYD. Yang Hao only reported the brand but not the model, fearing that the price of over 1 million yuan would scare the girl. No wonder BYD sells so well, the car is really beautiful. Li Mani sighed and said that there were many different models of BYD in the parking lot of their unit, but it seemed that there was no such car as the one she was sitting in now. However, Li Mani did not think much about it. Nowadays, there are so many domestically produced cars, and it is not surprising to see some models she does not recognize on the streets. There was not much traffic at this time, and after driving for about 40 minutes, Yang Hao sent Li Mani to the dormitory entrance. "Goodbye, Auntie." 1111 waved goodbye to her aunt reluctantly. "Well, goodbye, 1111." Li Mani kissed the little girl on the cheek, but after that she suddenly remembered that before getting in the car, Yang Hao seemed to have poked the little girl's face with his stubble for a long time, and then he also kissed her twice. Oh, which side of the face did he kiss? Or did they kiss both sides? I kissed him where he kissed me. Thinking of this, Li Mani's cheeks suddenly turned red again, and then she quickly got out of the car. But before she took a few steps, Yang Hao's voice suddenly rang out behind her, "Mani, wait a minute." "Oh." Li Mani turned around and looked at Yang Hao in confusion. The man walked to the back of the car, opened the trunk, took out a shopping bag and handed it to her. "I wanted to give you a gift when you first started working, but the financial situation was not so good at that time. Now it's better. Take this." This. It was already completely dark now, and the logo on the shopping bag could not be seen clearly. Mainly because Li Mani did not pay much attention to it. She just felt a little surprised that her brother-in-law suddenly gave her a gift. As a girl, you should always have a decent bag. Go back quickly, it's quite cold. After Yang Hao finished speaking, he turned around and got into the car. "Thank you, brother-in-law." As the car door closed, Li Mani's voice of thanks also reached Yang Hao's ears. He rolled down the car window, waved to Li Mani who was still standing there, then drove away. Watching the car disappear into the night, Li Mani turned and entered the dormitory area. However, before she took a few steps, her roommate Xu Wenqian caught up with her from behind, jogging. "Mani, are you working overtime today too?" Xu Wenqian works in a self-media company, where overtime is the norm. She was supposed to work from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., but in the end she gets off work at 7 or 8 o'clock every day. "No, I went to my brother-in-law's house." Li Mani answered truthfully. Yo, it's my brother-in-law again. I seriously suspect that you and your brother-in-law are having an affair." Xu Wenqian took Li Mani's arm and teased. Not only had they been roommates for 4 years, they had also become close friends who could talk about anything, so there was nothing to worry about when joking around. "What are you talking about? I just help him take care of 1111. Li Mani quickly denied. "Hey, did you go shopping?" Xu Wenqian saw the shopping bag in her friend's hand and asked casually. "My brother-in-law gave it to me." It's my brother-in-law again, and he said there's no adultery." Xu Wenqian looked like she had caught something wrong, and then she naturally took the shopping bag away. "Let me see what the gift is." Prada. Xu Wenqian subconsciously glanced at the logo on the shopping bag and then exclaimed. Li Mani didn't pay attention at first, and was thinking of going back to the dormitory to open the shopping bag and take a look. But when she heard Xu Wenqian shouting, she also turned her eyes to the shopping bag. Li Mani had of course heard of the brand Prada. Her sister Li Mansu had 2 bags of this brand, and some of her colleagues also carried them. Girls often talked about it when they chatted. But Li Mani felt that such luxury brands were too far away from her. Without the financial support of her brother-in-law, she would probably not be able to study at university with peace of mind. She would need to work and study like her sister did when she was in school, so she didn't pay much attention to luxury goods. "Mani, isn't your brother-in-law bankrupt? How can I give you such an expensive gift? Is it fake?" Xu Wenqian said with a suspicious look on her face. "It shouldn't be fake. My brother-in-law's financial situation has improved and he even bought a car." Li Mani knew her brother-in-law very well. He was a very down-to-earth person and would not buy a fake bag to fool her, and there was no need for him to do so. "I see." Xu Wenqian smiled. "Then there really is an affair. This is a Prada bag, it must cost at least over 10,000 yuan. Little Mani, tell the truth. Leniency to those who confess, severity to those who resist." The gossip fire in Xu Wenqian's heart has already started burning. The elder sister and brother-in-law divorced, and the younger sister took over. The plot is exciting just thinking about it. If I give the pen to Auntie Yao, wouldn't she write a 50-episode melodramatic romance drama? Chapter 22, The Clouds Will Clear and the Moon Will Appear. Wangjian Community. After finishing the public body shaping class, Sunsini finally got off work. She had a public class this afternoon and evening, plus 2 private lessons in the afternoon, so she was really tired. However, after returning to the rental house, she did not rest immediately, but couldn't wait to open the Prada shopping bag. When she was at the gym, she was embarrassed to take a closer look at the bag Yang Hao gave her, but now that she was home, she didn't have to worry about her colleagues' eyes. "Cindy, you're finally back. I am almost annoyed to death by my second aunt." Just as Sunsini was taking the bag out of the shopping bag, her roommate Zhao Yingying walked out of the room. "Hey, did you buy a bag? Wow. Prada." Zhao Yingying originally wanted to complain about the blind date to her friends, but when she saw Sunsini's Prada shopping bag on the coffee table, her eyes suddenly lit up. "Cindy, you're rich. How can I afford it? It was given to me by a friend." Sunsini replied casually, thinking in her heart that she and brother Yang should be considered friends. "Friend? Isn't that the creepy guy who bought 50 private lessons?" Zhao Yingying asked with a gossipy look on her face. "Not him. If it was really given by him, I wouldn't accept it." Sunsini shook her head to deny it. "Who is that? When did you get such a rich guy around you? Could it be the senior from the same school that I've been pursuing?" Zhao Yingying continued to guess. "Neither, so don't guess." Sunsini shook her head, then took the Prada handbag out of the dust bag and walked to the mirror to compare. "It's this bag. I remember you said you liked it the last time we went to Starlight City." Zhao Yingying also came to the mirror and looked at the handbag in Sunsini's hand with envy. Sunsini kept changing her angles in front of the mirror. This bag really suits her aesthetic taste. Of course, this appreciation is also due to the blessing of the Prada brand. If it was just a bag worth 1 or 200 yuan, she would not care so much about it. "Cindy, tell me the story of your rich friend. A bag worth more than 20,000 yuan can be delivered just like that. The conditions must be very good." Zhao Yingying was very interested in the mysterious rich man who gave a Prada bag to her friend. She is 27 years old this year and her goal is to catch a rich husband. For this purpose, she did a lot of homework and even spent a huge amount of money to sign up for a golf class, determined to cross the class through marriage. In fact, there are many women like her, but only a handful of them can finally succeed in getting ashore. Not to mention marrying a rich man, being kept outside as a mistress is a very good ending. Sunsini actually wanted to share, especially since Zhao Yingying was very good at analyzing men, and she also wanted to hear what she thought of brother Yang. So Sunsini told her about her experience today. 100 private lessons, 2 Prada handbags. More than 80,000 yuan spent a day. "Cindy, you really met a rich man, and he is a newly divorced one. People need psychological comfort the most at this time. This kind of opportunity is simply a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." After hearing the story, Zhao Yingying's eyes lit up with excitement. This was exactly what she had been looking for. "I don't think brother Yang has any other thoughts. Maybe he really just wants to thank me," Sunsini said. "So do you have any ideas?" Zhao Yingying asked while rubbing her hands, looking eager to try. "Yingying, you don't have any thoughts about him, do you? She has a daughter." Sunsini knew her friend too well. She was someone who always talked about marrying into a wealthy family, and it was obvious that she had set her sights on brother Yang. Having a daughter is not a problem. A man like him must be eager to have a son. "If I can give him a son, my position will be secure," Zhao Yingying said with a smile. "You don't mind being a stepmother?" Although she knew that her friend wanted to marry into a wealthy family, she didn't expect that the other party would be willing to become a stepmother as soon as she got married. "Cindy, I'm afraid you have some misunderstanding about your stepmother. It's not easy to be a stepmother to a poor family. For a man like brother Yang, it's a very comfortable job to be a stepmother. Especially since his daughter is still very young, it's still possible to cultivate a good relationship. If I can get his daughter, my position will be more secure." Zhao Yingying became more and more excited as she spoke. "Cindy, if you really don't have any feelings for him, I will take action. Then you can try it." Sunsini shook her head slightly. She just had a good impression of Yang Hao. After all, they had only known each other for 1 day. Besides, she was not as materialistic as Zhao Yingying. In her view of choosing a partner, good financial conditions were just a plus. What's more, she couldn't accept the idea of becoming a stepmother as soon as she got married. So, at present, she just regards Yang Hao as an older brother who is very kind and rich. You said it, don't regret it. Zhao Yingying smiled and took Sun Sini's arm. I happen to be off work tomorrow, and I was planning to go swimming at your place, so I can just happen to have a chance encounter with Brother Yang. Zhao Yingying is a salesgirl at Lancome. The customers she usually comes into contact with have good purchasing power, including many wealthy people. After all, ordinary people cannot afford to buy a set of cosmetics that costs several thousand yuan. Her job requires shift work, with no weekends off, but she can take one day off from Monday to Thursday. By the way, Sini, I still want to complain to you about my second aunt. She's really gone crazy lately. She keeps introducing men to me for blind dates, fearing that I won't be able to get married. Today's situation is even more outrageous. The man I introduced is divorced and has a child, but he doesn't even have a house. His only fixed asset is a car, and it's a BYD. I really admire her. Have I fallen to the point where I have to marry a man like this? Zhao Yingying complained about the bad things that happened today. Sister Yingying, you are being hypocritical. Brother Yang is also divorced and has a child, said Sun Sini. How many times have I told you not to call me sister? Zhao Yingying pouted and emphasized that she really started to have an age crisis after she turned 25, so even though she is 3 years older than Sun Sini, she is determined not to let her call her sister. Okay, Yingying, Sun Sini shrugged helplessly. Zhao Yingying cleared her throat and said seriously, Sini, your mindset still hasn't changed. You're actually comparing Brother Yang with the old man my second aunt introduced to you? Brother Yang is a rich bachelor, and my second aunt introduced him to a greasy old man. There is no comparison at all. Sun Sini smiled and nodded. Okay, you are right. Midnight. 11:11 had already fallen asleep beside me. Yang Hao's eyes widened as he stared at the time on his mobile phone screen. 57, 58, 59. He counted down silently in his heart, and the next second, midnight arrived on time. Byte. Task progress reminder. It was detected that their host successfully lost 2 kilograms and currently weighs 189 kilograms. Settlement reward, 200,000 yuan. The system prompt sounded as expected. In fact, Yang Hao had already measured his weight before going to bed, and the electronic scale showed 189.3 kilograms. It seemed that the system was rounding up. Beep. The screen of his mobile phone lit up. It was a text message from the bank, indicating that 200,000 yuan had been deposited into his account. Adding the 16,000 yuan left after spending during the day, the current balance in his bank card was 360,000 yuan. I found a friend with the note, Brother Phone, in the WeChat address book, and directly transferred 50,000 yuan to him, leaving a message, stop flirting with girls and take care of yourself. After paying Liu Zifeng back, Yang Hao opened the ICBC app and transferred 100,000 yuan to his second uncle's account. After doing all this, Yang Hao turned off his mobile phone, then quietly got out of bed and walked to the balcony. He looked at the moon that was half blocked by clouds in the night sky and let out a long sigh. Being debt-free is a relief. Wait till the clouds clear and the moon appears. Who understands this feeling? Chapter 23 Miss Zhao, what's wrong with you? When Yang Hao was delivering the takeaway before, he was thinking that after paying off his debts, he would get drunk and sleep for 3 days. I don't have the conditions to get drunk now, but I can still get a good night's sleep. He returned to the bed and pulled the quilt for 11:11, then gently pecked the little girl's chubby face before lying down beside her and falling asleep. Maybe because he was completely relaxed, Yang Hao slept very soundly and ended up oversleeping again. Dad, you're late. 11:11 has been waking up her father to get up for 2 days in a row. She has become a human alarm clock. Yang Hao opened his eyes in a daze. It was already 8:30, which was even worse than yesterday. Even the time for asking the teacher to save time for dinner had passed. However, since I was so late, I was not in a hurry anymore. 11:11, why did you wake up so late? Yang Hao asked while yawning. After sending Li Mani back last night, the little girl washed up and went to bed. Logically, she shouldn't have slept so late. Dad, I woke up a long time ago. I've already washed my face and brushed my teeth. 11:11 bared her little white teeth while speaking, indicating that she had really brushed her teeth. Oh, then why didn't you wake up Dad earlier? Yang Hao looked at his precious daughter speechlessly, seriously suspecting that this girl didn't want to go to school. But 1111's next words made Yang Hao feel ashamed. Dad is too tired. I want him to sleep a little longer. 1111 looked serious and her voice was soft and sticky. Well. Yang Hao quickly hugged 1111 in his arms. This little jacket was really warm. It's no wonder that he didn't want anything but custody when he divorced. It was almost 9 o'clock when the father and daughter left the house. Because the kindergarten had no more meals, Yang Hao took 1111 to a nearby breakfast shop. This little foodie ate 2 big meat buns, a tea egg and half a bowl of century egg and lean meat porridge. Yang Hao drank their half bowl of century egg and lean meat porridge left by 1111, and then ate 2 tea eggs. The task of losing weight is Yang Hao's main source of income at this stage, so he must persist in it both from the perspective of making money and his own health. While having breakfast, Yang Hao turned on his mobile phone, which he had turned off last night, and then he received many WeChat messages and missed call reminders. A few minutes after he transferred the money to Liu Zifeng, the other party sent him several long voice messages with a noisy background. It was obvious that the other party was in a bar or something like that. The core idea is that he is not in a hurry to use the money, so that Yang Hao can pay others back first. When he saw that Yang Hao had no news after transferring the money, he cursed at him a few times, but he still hadn't received the 50,000 yuan. Yang Hao replied to his WeChat message, explaining that he was no longer short of money. The other party didn't react at all, probably because he played too late last night and was still sleeping. Among the unread WeChat messages was one from Jiang, in which he asked whether he should leave food for 1111, and then asked why 1111 didn't come to school. Yang Hao immediately replied to the teacher in charge, informing her that 1111 would be there soon. The call I didn't answer was from my second uncle this morning. He must have called to inquire about the situation after he saw the 100,000 yuan transferred into the bank card. After leaving the breakfast shop, Yang Hao called his second uncle Yang Guoqiang back. He didn't explain too much, just said that he and his friends had made money by doing business together. Since Yang Hao had already built up a big business, his second uncle did not doubt him and told him to come home when he had time. It was already 9:30 when 1111 was sent to kindergarten. Because Jiang Guoqi had sent the WeChat message in advance, she arrived at the kindergarten gate early. Just as she was looking around, an SUV with a strong visual impact suddenly and slowly stopped beside her. Jiang Guoqi subconsciously took 2 steps back, shocked by the powerful aura of the car. Just as she was curiously looking at what kind of car it was, Yang Hao walked down from the driver's seat and waved at Jiang Guoqi apologetically. "Sorry, Teacher Jiang, we are late again." "Oh, it's okay." Jiang Guoqi was stunned for a moment, then realized that the person who got out of the car was 1111's father. 1111, are you feeling unwell? Jiang Guoqi came back to her senses and asked. "No, I was delayed by something." Yang Hao replied with a wry smile, then opened the back door and carried 1111 out. "Morning, Teacher Chichi." 1111 waved her little hand full of energy. "Good morning, Tilda." Jiang Guoqi took 1111's small school bag. "Teacher Chichi, my dad slept in, so I was late." 1111 carefully explained the reason for her lateness. Yang Hao on the side scratched his head in embarrassment. He thought the jacket was quite warm when he was at home, but it turned out to be drafty. "Teacher Jiang, thank you for your help." Yang Hao said a polite word, then quickly got into the car and drove away from this rather embarrassing scene. Bolai Fitness Center is only a 10-minute drive from 1111's kindergarten, and it was less than 10 o'clock when Yang Hao arrived. "Good morning, Brother Yang." "Morning, Brother Yang." Yang Hao clearly felt that he was treated differently today. After he walked into the store, Yu Lily and Zhu Ling, who were chatting behind the bar, stood up one after another. Yang Hao greeted the two of them, then took the electronic key of the locker and went to the locker room. After changing his clothes, he went straight to the aerobics area on the 4th floor. Sun Sini was instructing a woman in yoga moves in the public area. The woman was shorter than Sun Sini, but should be about 168 centimeters tall, with a slim figure and good looks. She was wearing a pink fitness vest on her upper body, slim yoga pants on her lower body, and a pair of Nike Zero Gravity running shoes on her feet. "Brother Yang, you are here." As soon as Yang Hao walked out of the elevator, Sun Sini noticed him and immediately waved with a smile. Hearing Sun Sini's words, the woman who was doing yoga stopped and looked Yang Hao up and down. That's right, this woman is Zhao Yingying. She came to the fitness center with Sun Sini to take a break today and has been exercising for half an hour. But her purpose today was not to exercise, but to come here for a chance encounter, and she was a little absent-minded during the half-hour yoga session. Now that the main person had finally arrived, she immediately perked up. After looking at Yang Hao's appearance, she was still very satisfied. He was tall enough, with regular features, but a little fat. But in Zhao Yingying's opinion, this is not a shortcoming, it's called being fat and rich. Brother Yang, this is my friend Zhao Yingying, she is also a member of our store. Sun Sini pointed at Zhao Yingying and introduced her, saying that this was what the latter had strongly requested when she was at home. Hello, Brother Yang, nice to meet you. Zhao Yingying immediately greeted him with a smile. Oh, hello. The other party took the initiative to greet him and seemed very enthusiastic, so Yang Hao also responded politely. Sini, why don't you go ahead and do your work first? I'll go to the equipment area and practice for a while. Yang Hao thought Sun Sini was teaching Zhao Yingying and felt that it was not appropriate for him to be here, so he took the initiative to speak. Sun Sini waved her hands quickly, I'm not busy. Yingying is a friend. I'm just giving you some simple instructions. Brother Yang, let's go back to the aerobics room we went to yesterday. Good. Yang Hao nodded and followed Sun Sini into the aerobics room. Although they are all aerobics, the intensity today is greater than yesterday. After half an hour of fat-reducing exercises, Yang Hao was already sweating profusely. Brother Yang, take a break, let's go to the equipment area. Sun Sini said as she handed over the towel. Good. Yang Hao walked out of the aerobics room while wiping the sweat off his face and sat down on the sofa in the rest area. Sini, Brother Yang, drink some water. Yang Hao and Sun Sini had just sat down for a while when Zhao Yingying came over with 2 bottles of soda water. Oh, thank you. The soda water that Zhao Yingying handed over was from Sudayuan. The retail price of each bottle was about 10 yuan, which was not cheap. Yang Hao felt that this strange woman was overly polite, but then he thought that she might just be doing it for Sun Sini's sake. After all, the two of them were sitting together at the moment, and she might feel it was inappropriate to just hand water to Sun Sini. Brother Yang, I heard from Sini that you are trying to lose weight, right? After handing over the water, Zhao Yingying naturally sat down on the sofa next to Yang Hao, and then started a conversation seemingly casually. Yes, as we get older, we still need to pay attention to body management. Yang Hao nodded slightly. I have a very useful recipe here, how about I send it to Brother Yang? This was the way Zhao Yingying had thought of to ask for WeChat's information a long time ago. As long as they added WeChat, the relationship between the two would have taken the first important step. Okay, add me on WeChat then. Losing weight is Yang Hao's top priority at the moment. Even if he doesn't need the recipes, he can still refer to them. He then opened WeChat and clicked on his own QR code. Zhao Yingying was overjoyed. She didn't expect everything to go so smoothly. She quickly turned on the WeChat scan function. After a beep, the QR code is recognized successfully. Zhao Yingying was just about to click to request a friend status, and then she was completely stunned. After scanning the QR code, the buttons that popped up on her WeChat page were Send Message and Audio or Video Call. This means that the two of them are WeChat friends. She glanced at Yang Hao's WeChat nickname and profile picture again, and then she felt sick. Miss Zhao, what's wrong with you? Zhao Yingying, who was smiling just a second ago, suddenly looked as if she had lost her parents. Yang Hao found it very strange this woman changed her expression so quickly. Chapter 24, You can never wake up a person who pretends to be asleep. Sun Sini also sensed her friend's unusual mood. She leaned over to take a look and asked suspiciously, Hey, do you have WeChat friends? After hearing what she said, Yang Hao leaned over to look at Zhao Yingying's scan results, and then saw his nickname in the other party's WeChat message, divorced with baby BYD. Well. Yang Hao was stunned for a moment and then thought of the quick WeChat blind date last night. He opened the chat box with Elisa and sent a handshake emoticon to her. Then, Zhao Yingying's phone rang as expected. Hey, I'm going to the bathroom. This was a situation Zhao Yingying had never expected in her dreams. Not knowing how to deal with it for a moment, she simply chose to escape by peeing. Brother Yang, I'll go take a look. Sun Sini greeted him and quickly chased after him. Looking at the backs of the two people leaving, Yang Hao shook his head slightly. He didn't have too many thoughts, he just felt it was too coincidental. Moreover, Zhao Yingying herself seems to be much more enthusiastic than in her WeChat. Women's restroom. Sun Sini looked at her friend suspiciously. Yingying, what's wrong with you? Sini, this is so embarrassing. Do you still remember the blind date guy that you and I complained about? Oh, which one? Zhao Yingying has complained about so many blind dates that Sun Sini doesn't know which one she is talking about. It's the one I talked about last night. My second aunt introduced me to him. Zhao Yingying said as she opened the chat box between herself and Yang Hao. Take a look at this. Sun Sini leaned forward to take a look, and then was a little confused. That person last night turned out to be Brother Yang. Yes. Zhao Yingying said bitterly, this guy spent more than 80,000 yuan in one go during the day, and then he pretended to be poor on WeChat at night. The point is, I believed him. Now he must have a very bad impression of me. Sun Sini felt that she couldn't do this question either. This was simply a large-scale social failure. Second aunt has always been very stable, how come she suddenly introduced a rich man, and she didn't even tell me? Zhao Yingying scratched her hair, her face full of regret. If the two of them had a good chat yesterday, then this would be a plus today. She could also take the opportunity to emphasize the fate between them. Now I can only say it's a bad fate. The other side. Yang Hao, who was about to go to the equipment area on the second floor, unexpectedly met an acquaintance at the elevator entrance. Hey, is that you? Wang Shueru walked out of the elevator and found that the man waiting for the elevator looked familiar. Then she recognized that he was the delivery man who delivered cakes and removed cockroaches to her 2 days ago. Ms. Wang, what a coincidence. Yang Hao was stunned for a moment, then he recognized Wang Shueru. She was wearing a black fitness suit, which was a relatively conservative style, but fitness suits are tight-fitting, which still outlines her beautiful figure. You didn't go to work today? Wang Shueru asked curiously, thinking in her heart that this delivery guy was quite cost-conscious, as the membership card of this fitness center was not cheap. No takeaway delivery for now. By the way, is the cockroach medicine effective? Yang Hao asked with a smile. It's very useful. Wang Shueru nodded, hesitated for a moment and said, actually, I have something else I want to ask you. Can you talk for a while? Can. In fact, Yang Hao had been waiting for the other party to contact him actively, because he left a hook when he left that day, but there was no news on WeChat in the past 2 days. He didn't expect to meet him here today. Yang Hao followed Wang Shueru back to the rest area. After sitting down, Wang Shueru asked, when you left that day, you said you saw my husband at the Inspiration advertising. You were only halfway through your words. I want to know what you actually saw. Oh, did I say that? Yang Hao played dumb. You said something. Wang Shueru nodded seriously. I just said that, I forgot about it. Brother, to be honest with you, I am ready for a divorce and have found a lawyer. I have also collected some evidence of my husband's infidelity, so I hope you can tell me the truth. After Yang Hao left that day, Wang Shueru began to suspect her husband with a criminal record again, and then secretly checked Shen Mingshan's mobile phone while he was asleep. Although most of the chat records were deleted, she still found some clues. In addition, she secretly copied the contents of her husband's dashcam, which not only has a video recording function, but also a sound recording function. Although the camera is facing outside and cannot see what is happening inside the car, the sounds can be heard clearly. From these audios, she got a lot of key information, including that her husband had dated 2 different women in one day and had also conducted a PC transaction in the car. These messages made her feel sick and made her completely give up on Shen Mingshan. So she found a lawyer and prepared to file for divorce directly, and the lawyer wanted her to collect as much evidence as possible to find out Shen Mingshan's financial situation. Wang Shueru has been very busy with the divorce issue these days, otherwise she would come to the gym almost every day. She had an appointment with her lawyer in the afternoon today, so she came over to practice for a while since she had some time in the morning. She attaches great importance to body management, especially now that she is planning to start over. Shen Mingshan has a subordinate named Li Manchu, and they have an ambiguous relationship. This is what I know. Having said that, Yang Hao no longer concealed it. After all, his goal had been achieved. You actually know their names. Wang Shueru was a little surprised. She remembered that she had never mentioned her husband's name, and she didn't even know Li Manchu's name. There was only Manchu in the audio. Only then did she know that the other party's surname was Li. Didn't Shen Mingshan ask you last night if you knew Yang Hao? When they met by chance in Xinguang City yesterday, Yang Hao asked Shen Mingshan in front of him whether he wanted to call Ms. Wang Shueru. Shen Mingshan was scared away at that time. He guessed that the other party would definitely ask Wang Shueru if she knew him. He asked me if I knew a man named Yang. Could it be you? Wang Shueru's expression had changed from surprise to shock. She was a very smart woman and had already noticed that the man opposite her had some connection with Shen Mingshan. My name is Yang Hao, and Li Manchu is my ex-wife. Yang Hao introduced his identity frankly. This. Wang Shueru's eyes widened, and she felt that her brain circuit was clearly not enough. After a while, she came back to her senses. So, your coming to my house that day was not a coincidence. It's a coincidence. Yang Hao smiled and said, I didn't expect it to be such a coincidence. So, you left your words half said on purpose to give me a hint. Wang Shueru reacted quickly. Almost. Yang Hao nodded, and then said, actually, I have no intention of destroying your marriage. I just want to give you some hints. After all, Shen Mingshan is not a good person. As for Li Manchu and I, our breakup was peaceful, and I don't want to have anything to do with her anymore. Yang Hao further clarified his attitude. Wang Shueru was silent for a moment, then said sincerely, thank you, brother Yang. Shen Mingshan actually has a criminal record. I endured it for the sake of my child. This time you helped me make up my mind. Yang Hao smiled and shook his head. No one can help you make up your mind about divorce. Some people will choose to turn a deaf ear to it no matter what others say. As we often hear, you can never wake up a person who pretends to be asleep. Some people would rather struggle in the quagmire of marriage than withdraw from it, while others make a prompt decision and cut the Gordian knot. It's all your own choice. Chapter 25 Brother Yang, don't you want revenge? Wang Shueru nodded in agreement. In fact, the seeds of divorce had already been planted in her heart, and this incident could only be regarded as a catalyst. She looked Yang Hao up and down, and suddenly asked, do you have time later? What's up? Yang Hao asked back. Well, the range hood at home is still not working very well. I want you to help take a look. Wang Shueru said guiltily. Sure, I still have half an hour of private lessons. It will be fine after class. Yang Hao didn't notice Wang Shueru's expression and agreed immediately. At this time, Sun Sini came over and said, Brother Yang, let's continue practicing. Okay. Yang Hao stood up, said hello to Wang Shueru, and went downstairs with Sun Sini. Brother Yang, Yingying's family has been urging her to get married, so she was in a bad mood yesterday. She may have offended you. I hope you don't get angry. Zhao Yingying asked Sun Sini to say this and she also promised a big meal for it. Naturally, she didn't want to give up on this rich man who had just regained his freedom, so she formulated an image recovery plan in a very short time. First, she asked her good friend Sun Sini to help her to talk things over, and then she would come forward to apologize sincerely. Even if she could not completely restore her materialistic image in Yang Hao's mind, at least she would make him change his opinion of her. Your friend is overthinking. I don't take it to heart at all. Yang Hao smiled and shook his head. He really didn't take it seriously. Yesterday's so-called blind date was just to give face to the enthusiastic Aunt Zhang. He was busy delivering food before, and it was Aunt Zhang who told him about some things in the kindergarten. You know, I just got divorced and I have no plans to get married in the short term, or I have no intention of getting married again. Yang Hao's words came from the bottom of his heart. His imperfect marriage with Li Manchu made him fear marriage, which was a bit like, once bitten by a snake, one becomes afraid of ropes for 10 years. Especially now that he has a baby daughter, his genes have been passed on. As for having a son to carry on the family line, he would just let it go. In fact, 3 years ago, when the hot pot restaurant didn't have too many problems, he did have the idea of having a second child, especially since his parents were urging him to have a grandson. The older generation's ideas and concepts are mostly traditional, and they believe that not having a male offspring means the end of the family line. However, as the mosque incident continued to escalate and the hot pot restaurant's business took a sharp turn for the worse, Yang Hao put the idea of having a second child on hold. Sun Sini could probably understand Yang Hao's feelings. It does take time to get over a failed relationship, and many people may never get over it in their entire lives. Hello, Brother Yang. It's still so early today. When the two of them reached the second floor, Meng Yuyu, who was originally chatting with a male coach, immediately came up to them with a smile on her face. Yang Hao was quite impressed by this charming female coach. Yesterday, when he was taking classes in the equipment area, she was lifting weights near him, and the occasional movements she made would give Yang Hao a feast for the eyes. But Yang Hao was not familiar with the other party, so he just responded casually. "Brother Yang, let's go over there." Sun Sini pointed to a corner of the equipment area. She intentionally wanted to stay away from Meng Yuyu. Her intuition told her that this woman seemed to be trying to steal her away. Sun Sini's intuition was naturally accurate. Even though she took Yang Hao to the corner of the equipment area, Meng Yuyu still followed him and started doing strength training next to him. However, her movements during training were much more exaggerated than usual. Sometimes she raised her hips, and sometimes she bent over to show off the ball. Moreover, the angles she found were all within Yang Hao's sight range. With just a casual glance, he could see the scenery that other male customers could only occasionally see after buying dozens of classes. Yang Hao is a man with a strong sense of family. He has never had an affair after marriage, but as the owner of 5 hot pot restaurants, he is also successful in his career. Many women have come to him on their own initiative. He has seen all kinds of tricks, so he can naturally understand Meng Yuyu's thoughts. It turns out that men with money are popular wherever they go. Yang Hao is not so narcissistic as to think that the other party is attracted by his appearance. If it were 10 years ago, he would have thought in this direction. But now his appearance can only be considered average, better than most of his peers, but not outstanding. Then the other party took the initiative to flirt with me. It was nothing more than the fact that he bought 100 private lessons from Sun Sini yesterday, and the Prada handbag that was given as a gift later had an effect. However, Yang Hao was not opposed to this kind of thing where he could feast his eyes while attending classes. But after seeing it too much, he couldn't help but feel distracted. After all, he was a normal man. He silently recalled his last experience of playing cards, which should have been 3 months ago. At that time, there were already problems in his relationship with Li Mansu, but since both parties had needs for this kind of thing, they just did it reluctantly. "Brother Yang, let's stop here today. I brought you some fat-reducing meals. After you take a shower, come find me in the lounge on the first floor." After finishing the last set of movements, Sun Sini spoke. As agreed yesterday, Sun Sini would prepare fat-reducing meals for Yang Hao for the next month, and this will start today. However, Yang Hao was in a bit of a dilemma at this moment because he had promised to help Wen Shueru. "Brother Yang, are you busy later?" Seeing the hesitation on Yang Hao's face, Sun Sini took the initiative to ask. "I just met a friend and we're going out. How about this, I'll take the fat-reducing meal away to eat." "Oh, okay, I'll wait for you on the first floor then." Sun Sini was a little disappointed because she knew that the friend Yang Hao was talking about was the woman who had just chatted with him on the 4th floor. In fact, she had some impression of Wang Shueru. She was a frequent customer of the store, but usually only attended public classes. "Brother Yang, are you ready?" Yang Hao was about to go to the locker room to take a shower and change clothes when Zhao Yingying suddenly blocked his way. Yang Hao nodded slightly. "Brother Yang, I'm really sorry for what happened last night. I personally don't like my family's pressure to get married, so I just want to go through the motions. Do you have time later? I'll treat you to a meal." Zhao Yingying first apologized sincerely, and then offered to treat everyone to a meal as an apology. "It's okay. I just can't refuse because Aunt Zhang is so enthusiastic. As for dinner, let's make an appointment again when we have a chance. I have an appointment with a friend later." Yang Hao declined tactfully. Firstly, he really didn't take what happened last night seriously, and secondly, he was indeed not interested in Zhao Yingying. Judging from the content of her conversation last night, this woman is most likely another Li Mansu. He doesn't want to jump from one fire pit into another. "Okay then, let's make an appointment sometime." Zhao Yingying still had a smile on her face, but she was very disappointed in her heart. In her opinion, the other party did not accept the apology. As for the promise of meeting again in the future, it was just a courtesy. Meng Yuyu, who witnessed all this, curled her lips slightly. She knew Zhao Yingying and knew that she was Sun Sini's best friend. As they were of the same kind, she naturally saw through Zhao Yingying's intentions. But it was obvious that Brother Yang was not interested in her. But the appearance of Zhao Yingying reminded Meng Yuyu that the current situation is that there are too many people and too little porridge. Yang Hao, the Tang monk, has been targeted by several monsters. In this situation, she can no longer use the method she treats other men. She must take the initiative and use her ultimate move. First floor. Sun Sini handed the insulated lunchbox she brought from home to Yang Hao. Brother Yang, just bring the lunchbox when you come tomorrow. Well, thanks. Yang Hao thanked him while holding a lunchbox. At this time, Wang Shueru, who had an appointment with him, also came downstairs. She was dressed in the style of a young woman today, with a wool-plaid coat on the upper body, tight jeans and long leather boots on the lower body. Her short chestnut brown hair that reached her neck was slightly curled inwards, giving people a gentle and dignified feeling. Brother Yang, let's go. Wang Shueru said softly, and then her eyes subconsciously swept over Sun Sini, Zhao Yingying, and Yu Lily and Zhu Ling behind the front desk. When she walked out of the elevator, she felt that the eyes of several women looking at her were somewhat hostile, or even scrutinizing. But she is a regular at the fitness center and this has never happened before. In other words, the problem lies with Yang Hao. Could it be that these women all have a crush on this food delivery guy? This is too outrageous. A thought flashed through Wang Shueru's mind, and then she denied it. After leaving the fitness center, Wang Shueru took out the car key from her coat pocket and pressed it. The lights of the BYD Dolphin parked in the parking space at the door immediately flashed. Nowadays, electric cars are becoming more and more popular. Small cars like the Dolphin are indeed very cost-effective for urban transportation. Of course, the prerequisite is that there is a charging station at home. Wang Shueru's Dolphin has a range of 420 kilometers, which is enough for picking up children and buying groceries. Brother Yang, get in the car. I'll bring it back to you when I'm done. Wang Shueru opened the car door and motioned for Yang Hao to get in. In her opinion, the delivery man should have come on an electric scooter, and there was no need to use two means of transportation to go to her house. Yeah, okay. Yang Hao was quite familiar with Holiday International. Parking spaces at the entrance of the community were very limited. If he drove there by himself, there would probably be no place to park. It would be better for him to take Wang Shueru's ride directly into the basement. Yang Hao opened the car door and sat in the passenger seat. For him, who is 182 centimeters tall and 189 kgs in weight, the interior space of the car was not very friendly. He moved the seat back, which made him feel a little more comfortable. Wang Shueru started the car skillfully and drove out of the fitness center parking lot. About 15 minutes later, the little Dolphin drove into the basement of Holiday International. Then Yang Hao followed Wang Shueru upstairs. Brother Yang, thank you for your hard work. This time Wang Shueru learned her lesson and handed Yang Hao a bottle of mineral water. I'll go see what the problem is. Yang Hao walked into the kitchen with ease. After all, it was his second time there. I opened the top cabinet and checked the check valve, and there was no problem. Where are you? Is there still smoke coming out? Yang Hao asked towards the kitchen door, but received no response. He was wondering where the person had gone when Wang Shueru suddenly appeared in his sight. However, Yang Hao was stunned. Because Wang Shueru actually changed her clothes. She was wearing a creamy white hip-wrapped short skirt. The skirt should be made of wool, which is not at all inconsistent with this season. But the problem is that the skirt is a little tricky. The chest is hollowed out, and the whole place is creamy white, which gives people unlimited room for imagination. Where are you? What are you doing? The atmosphere was obviously wrong, Yang Haoqian asked calmly. Wang Shueru's cheeks were slightly red. She gently lifted the hair behind her head and said delicately, Brother Yang, don't you want revenge? Chapter 26. What is he here for? In fact, Wang Shueru's thoughts at this time are a bit like Dao Baifeng in Demigods and Semi-Devils. You, Du and Jingchun, are fooling around outside every day, so I will be the lucky one for the dirty, old beggar. Although Yang Hao was not as embarrassed as Du and Yanqing at this time, in Wang Shueru's mind, he was just a delivery man, and in her subconscious, they were not of the same class. Although Wang Shueru has become a full-time housewife in the past 2 years, she is an excellent student at Jiangcheng University and is even a senior of Li Mani several years ago. Moreover, Wang Shueru comes from a wealthy family. Her father is a senior engineer of Jiangcheng Shipbuilding Group and her mother is the chief physician of Jiangcheng Second Hospital. It was precisely because of her parents' support that she dared to choose to be a full-time housewife, because even if Shen Mingshan's income was unstable, she would not be short of money. The reason why Shen Mingshan was able to lower his posture and even kneel down to beg for forgiveness after cheating on his wife was also inseparable from Wen Shueru's wealthy family background. Shen Mingshan is from another place. In addition to his own efforts, he was able to buy a house and settle down in Jiangcheng with the help of his father-in-law and mother-in-law. In this society, not only women are realistic, but men are equally realistic. In Shen Mingshan's opinion, Wang Shueru was indeed a good candidate for a wife, but after he had gained some status in society, he could not suppress his restless heart. In addition, the nature of the marketing director's job required a lot of social engagements, which gave him an excuse to come home late or even not come home at all, creating the time for him to look for Liu outside. Wang Shueru has now made up her mind to divorce, but she feels that just divorce is not fair. She also wants to give the other party a big green hat, so that she will feel more balanced. It's not that Wang Shueru can't find a man, nor is it that no man wants her. It's just that I have always been a good wife after marriage. Brother Yang, we are all good people. But good people are always the ones who get bullied and hurt. While speaking, Wang Shueru had already walked into the kitchen, approaching Yang Hao step by step. As mentioned before, Yang Hao hasn't played cards for more than 3 months. He is a normal man with full energy. With Meng Yuyu's preparation in the fitness center, how could he resist such temptation? And when he learned that Wang Shueru was Shen Mingshan's wife, this thought actually flashed through his mind. So, everything happened naturally. Wang Shueru put her hands on the stove where she usually cooked, while Yang Hao held her slender waist with both hands. 10,000 words omitted here. No matter how many times you are beaten, you will still be strong, no matter which direction the wind blows. A fierce battle started in the kitchen and ended in the living room. Brother Yang, let's go take a shower. After resting on the sofa for a while, Wang Shueru sat up. Yang Hao nodded and simply carried the person into the bathroom. Originally, they just wanted to take a shower, but Yang Hao felt that the revenge he just took was not satisfying enough. In addition, Wang Shueru, who had been thirsty for a long time, was not honest either, so the two of them unlocked the bathroom map again. With the preparation from the last time, this time it took more than half an hour. If Yang Hao hadn't had a strong physical condition from delivering takeout food for several months, he would definitely not have been able to bear it. But even so, he lay in bed wrapped in a bath towel for a long time before he recovered some strength. However, when he walked to the bathroom, he still felt his legs a little light. Firstly, the two fierce battles were indeed tiring. Secondly, he only had 2 tea eggs and half a bowl of porridge for breakfast. His body's energy was already in a state of deficit, and he had to do such heavy physical work. It was only because of his good physical fitness that someone else would probably not be able to get up by now. At this moment, there was a faint blush on Wang Shueru's snow-white skin, giving her a radiant feeling. Sure enough, beautiful flowers need moisture. However, Wang Shueru, who had consumed too much energy and lost a lot of water, didn't want to move at all. She curled up her soft body in the quilt, squinting her eyes and savoring the climax moment just now. At this moment, the cell phone she placed on the bedside table suddenly vibrated. It turned out to be Shen Mingshan calling. Feeling somewhat guilty, she sat up from the bed. Although she had made up her mind to divorce, they had not done so yet. They were still husband and wife in name only. If she was caught, her advantage in dividing the property would be gone. Brother Yang, I have a call from Shen Mingshan. Wang Shueru shouted to Yang Hao, who was running the toilet in the bathroom, then took a deep breath and answered the phone. It's the middle of the day, why did you take so long to answer the phone? Shen Mingshan's complaints were heard over the phone. I'm sleepy and sleeping. Wang Shueru replied casually. I'll be in the basement garage in 10 minutes. Please bring down my Zegna suit. I have an important client tonight. Shen Mingshan's voice came from the telephone receiver, and the sound of car horns could be heard faintly. It was obvious that he was driving home. Oh, okay. Wang Shueru responded and quickly hung up the phone. Fortunately, Shen Mingshan called in advance. If he had gone directly home to get the clothes, that would have been great. Is there something wrong? After cleaning their weapons for revenge, Yang Hao returned to the bedroom and asked while getting dressed. Shen Mingshan will be in the basement in 10 minutes. Let me bring him a suit. Wang Shueru said this as she put on her clothes. Is that so? Then I'd better go first. If he suddenly gets the urge to go upstairs, it wouldn't be good to see him. Yang Hao shrugged lightly. Well, then I won't see you off. I have to see a lawyer later. Wen Shuaru stood in front of the mirror and tidied her messy hair. Then contact me by WeChat. If you need any help, just call me. Before leaving, Yang Hao gave the beautiful young woman another hug, and the latter even pecked him lightly on the cheek. After taking the elevator downstairs, Yang Hao walked out of the community. At the main entrance, he saw the familiar black BMW. At this moment, the car was parked at the entrance of the basement. It seemed that there was a problem with the electronic license plate recognition function, and the lift barrier blocking the entrance of the basement did not respond. Shen Mingshan rolled down the car window and was about to call the security guard to operate it manually, but he unexpectedly saw Yang Hao standing in front of the main entrance of the community. He raised his eyebrows and couldn't help wondering, what is he doing here? Didi. Just as Shen Mingshan was thinking silently, an urging whistle sounded from behind. It turned out that the security guard had raised the boom remotely. Shen Mingshan had no choice but to step on the accelerator and drive down to the basement. After waiting for a while next to his parking space, Wen Shuaru walked out of the elevator carrying a suit wrapped in a dust bag. His wife was wearing a set of loose-fitting pajamas, which covered up her good figure. The main purpose was to make her look comfortable. But from a distance, Shen Mingshan always felt that Wen Shuaru was in a particularly good mental state today, and he didn't know if there was any good news. Chapter 27 NPC Number 1 Wen Shuaru is online. Wen Shuaru opened the back door and put the suit directly on the seat. "Where are you? You seem to be in a good mood today." Shen Mingshan asked. "Oh," the teacher praised Monuo. Wen Shuaru made up an excuse. She couldn't say that she had just experienced two peak moments. This kind of experience was something she hadn't had for a long time, and the last time she had it was the result of her own actions. Shen Mingshan could not be relied upon at most to last 5 minutes, but Yang Hao was different. This delivery brother's physical fitness was much stronger than Shen Mingshan's, and he could easily last more than 20 minutes. I guess this has a lot to do with the fact that he works out while delivering food. He is a self-disciplined man. By the way, he seemed to say that he would not be delivering food for the time being. He must have found another job. "Where are you? You didn't see any suspicious people when you went out recently, did you?" Just as Wen Shuaru's thoughts were wandering, Shen Mingshan suddenly asked. "Suspicious person?" Wen Shuaru looked at her future ex-husband in confusion. "Like couriers, food delivermen, etc. I saw a news report this morning about a delivery man who saw a girl at home alone and got lustful, and then he raped her." Shen Mingshan couldn't say it directly, so he could only give a subtle hint. "I never leave my house when I receive express or take out food. I ask them to leave it at the door. Besides, this kind of thing only happens with a small probability." Wen Shuaru said this, but in her heart she was thinking that the delivery man had no sexual intentions towards me, but I was the one who seduced him. That's good. Anyway, you still need to be more aware of safety when you are alone at home. Today's social event is very important and may last very late. Then just sleep in the company dormitory and don't bother. Before Shen Mingshan finished speaking, Wen Shuaru took over the conversation with understanding. "I'll be back if it's early." Shen Mingshan was already very happy in his heart, but he still said this. "Well, go back and drive slower." Wen Shuaru behaved as usual, gave some instructions and walked towards the elevator. Looking at his wife's back, Shen Mingshan always felt that she was a little different today, but he couldn't tell what was different. At the entrance of the community, Yang Hao hailed a taxi and got in. Bolai Fitness Center. Yang Hao gave the address and prepared to go back to pick up the car. At this moment, a mechanical prompt sound suddenly rang in his mind. Bite. It was detected that their host had an intimate relationship with Wen Shuaru. Enter the intimate relationship process. Name, Wen Shuaru. Age, 31. Comprehensive quality score, 88 points. Note, close relations with a comprehensive quality score of 80 or above can be converted into NPCs and can receive tasks once a week. There is a certain chance of generating random tasks. Close relationship person Wen Shuaru meets the conditions for transformation into NPC. Yes, no, converted. After a series of prompt sounds, an option actually appeared. Yang Hao was stunned for a moment, then decisively chose yes. Having a task means having a reward, this is an opportunity for him to make money. Bite. Conversion successful. NPC number 1 Wang Shueru is officially online. NPC number 1 reward, exclusive consumption money of 100 million yuan. Note, as a wealthy man, he cannot wrong the woman with whom he has an intimate relationship, so each NPC will be rewarded with exclusive consumption money. 1, 10, 100, 1000, 10,000. Yang Hao counted zeros silently, and then couldn't help but exclaimed. Oh shit! 100 million. Brother, what do you mean by 100 million? The taxi driver was startled and turned around to ask. Oh, it's okay. Yang Hao waved his hand apologetically. Then he silently counted the zeros again, and it was indeed 100 million. But it seems that this money can only be given to Wang Shueru. According to the system's explanation, as long as you are converted into an NPC, you will be rewarded with exclusive consumption money. In other words, any woman who has an intimate relationship with him will have money. Of course, whether or not to use this exclusive consumption fund depends on his own willingness. If he doesn't, then this exclusive consumption fund will just lie there. Bite. NPC mission number 1 is refreshed. Mission content, Sweet Night. NPC number 1 is savoring the sweet moment just now, so why not give her another sweet night? Mission rewards, Learning Card 1, Attribute Points 2. Looking at the task rewards on the system's virtual panel, Yang Hao's eyes subconsciously widened. All previous rewards were related to money, but this time the reward is finally different. Yang Hao looked at his personal information on the system again. Host, Yang Hao. Age, 35. Height, 182 centimeters. Weight, 189 kgs. Wealth value, 204,000. Health, 68. Intelligence, 78. Force value, 65. Skills, none. Main quest progress, 0%. There is no doubt that attribute points can be added to health, intelligence and force, which is a good thing. As for the learning card, there is no relevant introduction. I guess I will know it only after I get the reward. The reward for this mission is very attractive to Yang Hao, except that the content of the mission seems a bit unserious. The main thing is that this night can't be sweet. Wang Shueru and Shen Mingshan haven't officially divorced yet. He can't go over and sleep with them. Alas, the mission rewards are good, but the mission is too difficult. Yang Hao sighed silently. Brother, we're here. At this time, the taxi driver spoke up to remind them. Yang Hao glanced out of the car window and found that they had arrived. He scanned the code to pay the fare and got out of the taxi. Because he came back to pick up the car, Yang Hao had no plans to go in. After all, he had already completed today's clock-in task. But at this time, Sun Sini and Zhao Yingyin walked out of the fitness center together. At this moment, the two of them have changed into casual clothes. Sun Sini is still wearing the same casual denim outfit from yesterday, but yesterday she wore a white fitness vest underneath, revealing her slender waist, while today she wore a normal light yellow base shirt that completely covered her waist and abdomen. What Yang Hao didn't know was that Sun Sini's change was entirely because she was too cold when she rode on his electric car yesterday. So although she was not sure whether she would have the chance to ride on Yang Hao's electric car today, she still made preparations in advance. Zhao Yingyin wore a Chanel-style casual suit, which made her look younger. Hey, brother Yang. Zhao Yingyin was the first to notice Yang Hao, and she waved excitedly. Brother Yang, do you want to continue practicing? Sun Sini asked curiously when she saw Yang Hao coming back. No more practice, come back to get the car. Yang Hao shook his head, but are you off work so early? I took a break for half a day and went shopping with Yingyin. Sun Sini took Zhao Yingyin's arm and said that the working hours of a fitness coach are relatively flexible. Without public classes and private lessons, one can arrange time freely. Brother Yang, have you finished your business with your friend? If you have time, come with me. I promise to treat you to a meal. Yang Hao was just about to leave when Zhao Yingyin extended an invitation. Forget it. I won't get involved with you two girls. Yang Hao waved his hands. This was obviously a gathering among close friends. It would be awkward for him to go. It's okay, it's more fun when there are more people. Sini, don't you think so? Zhao Yingyin quickly winked at her best friend. Sun Sini hesitated for a moment, but still said, Brother Yang, if you are not busy, please give Yingyin a chance to treat us. Well. Yang Hao originally wanted to refuse, he really didn't like shopping, especially shopping with a woman. However, he suddenly thought of converting NPCs. Now he only has one NPC, Wang Shueru, and the tasks she can issue are limited. If he can develop a few more NPCs, wouldn't he have endless tasks? There are two conditions for converting an NPC. One is to have an intimate relationship with him/her, and the other is to have a comprehensive quality score higher than 80 points. Taking Wang Shueru's score of 88 as a reference, Sun Sini has a very high chance of exceeding 80 points, and Zhao Yingying should also have a chance. So, these are two potential NPCs. Then it seems possible to accompany them shopping and build good relationships with them.